We're on.
Wrong.
What's up, Trav?
Hey.
Josh? How you doing, buddy? Good to see you again.
I'm here.
I mean, I've seen you for the last hour, but I guess that was my intro to you being in the pod room for the first time.
Yeah. Cool new digs, man.
Yeah, thanks. Jesse, welcome to the new studio. It's first time for both of you being here. It's a great honor to have you both here. And one of the things that I've individually podcasted with both of you, Josh, I think we've done 3 now.
2. I think this will be number 2.
This is number 3.
Yep.
And the things that you guys have overlapping is Bitcoin. Obviously, you're both in business. You both believe in Bitcoin. And so we kind of come up with a thing that we wanted to talk about. Josh actually brought it to me and said the 5 things that Bitcoin can do to impact your business. And so, to me, there's been a lot of buzz about Bitcoin. We've talked about it for a long time. We do meetups, Josh, very regularly, once a month. And, I think a lot of people are confused still to this day about why Bitcoin is so important to us. I mean, I have a podcast based on anti-tyranny principles. I get hit over the head with how our banks basically have taken and made our money worth less and less over time, significantly. And basically Bitcoin to me as the store of value and the anti-tyranny tool has been the reason why I've really stuck with it. And the number, I started buying it when it was at its peak, and I'm still buying it today.
Haven't we all?
Yeah. So, I mean, if you're just buying all the time, you're not really worrying about what the value of it's doing. It's just kind of like buying gold or anything else, or silver. Jesse accepts silver now in his business. But why don't you just kind of tell me a little bit about what you think? And I'm going to introduce both of you later, but like, what do you think we are? Where are we with Bitcoin? Like, how do you feel the last year? I think what do you think about the state of Bitcoin right now?
Yeah, and what's really interesting is all 4 of us sitting in this room come from very diverse backgrounds. Like I'm a woodworker, Jesse's a cattle rancher. Everybody's got their own different backgrounds, but that's something we all have studied independently and are now in the same room discussing together. So it's like that in itself should raise more questions to people. So it's like, all right, if people from all sorts of different backgrounds are coming to the same conclusion, that usually means you're headed in the right direction, because what's true is true and what's not is not. But I think right now on the main stage is probably politically with the Clarity Act, which I've seen rumors should hopefully pass this summer. And that's basically, in my opinion, will probably be the swan song of the US dollar. Basically puts that into a digital format, but it allows it to be exported much easier than the ACH system. It can be transferred across borders much easier without the wire fees, transactions. So it does reduce some hurdles, especially for people living abroad and from third world countries who need to utilize the dollar as a store of value because their local currency kind of sucks. And I think that'll probably be the last step up into, I think the next step would be the Bitcoin strategic reserve for the country. We'll see if that gets done. We'll see what happens in the midterm elections. But
I heard about that, and I hadn't heard anything about it since. Here, the strategic reserve, we're supposed to buy some reserves.
Yep, and I think so. They've been taking, they've been confiscating it from criminal activity and things like that, and putting that specifically into it. But that's only on an executive order, which can immediately be wiped out by the next person in charge who wants to just overrule that. So it needs to be codified into law. So then, and I know Cynthia Lummis out of Wyoming, she's a huge proponent of it. And I think she said she's retiring from the Senate. But I know she was a big proponent. But if the legislation that has been talked about and has been hasn't really been fought over yet, because they needed to get the current system in line to extend that out for a bit longer first, and then being able to focus on the future. But then that would be locked up for 20 years. But, anyone who has who understands Bitcoin and who has been into it for a while understands that it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's, you know, put your energy into that and it just doesn't devalue. In fact, it grows in value based on when it's hedged against everything else. So seeing, you know, and hearing the rumblings and the rumors of it being locked up for 20 years and no one can touch it. I mean, it's encouraging, but there's a lot of hurdles that have to go before that.
But I think the Federal Reserve chair that just took over was much more Bitcoin friendly.
Is he really?
Mm-hmm.
I think so.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yeah.
Who's that? Kevin Warsh or something like that?
I think so.
But yeah, I've heard most of the people the current administration have put on the Federal Reserve Board have been pro Bitcoin. So I don't know. Maybe you got, you know, spies and behind enemy lines. So I don't know. We'll see. So I don't trust anything in politics until it actually happens.
Part of the reason why we're sitting in this podcast room is because I don't think any of us really believe or trust much of that. And so, like, you don't really use Bitcoin in your business. It's more of a side angle. I mean, you do have some products that you're working on and or using, but it's not kind of like your primary driver right now.
No, right? And we'll get into this as we get into the different points, but we had previously used that as an additional store of value and investment in my businesses, which had been real estate primarily. So it's a place to additionally put your funds so you don't have to work it all the time. So it's like, you know, if you need to take a breather, if you don't want to expand your business, because perpetually, you know, through a free capitalist system, you want to find the highest hurdle rate for your money. So, but as we were seeing growth over the past 5+ years, so it's like, okay, well, this is growing at, you know, 30+% on average. Bitcoin was. So it's like, all right, let's throw some money in there, utilize that. And actually,
yeah, we're talking about an asset that was $1 at one or less than $1. And now it's been up to 140.
Yeah, it was way up. Yeah. It's about a little 75-ish right now, I think.
But yeah, so, and then for our current project, we're restoring a house that we plan on flipping. But we had taken our first Bitcoin backed loan it was a new product. It came out, you know, probably 6-7 months ago, but we wanted to try it, see how it worked out. So far, so good. Of course, we took that out at 120, and then Bitcoin does what Bitcoin does.
Yeah.
Then dropped to 70, and then dropped to 60. So we had to add some more collateral back in there to stabilize the loan, make sure it was all good. But, you know, that's how you experience a new thing. You stress test your budgets and your cash flows and your savings, and then you're like, oh, okay. It's like, well, we can survive this as long as X, Y, and Z happens. And then, so just, it forces you to continue to plan, to continue and sustain your business. So yeah, that's kind of where I've been in the Bitcoin world.
Yeah, and so I mean, you were just on, I think, just 5 or 6 episodes ago, I believe, on United Divided, and Jesse, you were on here quite a long time ago. Actually, I think you were one of the first
maybe
guests.
18 months ago, huh?
Yeah, I mean, I think you were one of the first guests in my home studio. Actually, come to think of it, and so what I want to do is I'm gonna read kind of your bio, because I think a lot of people that have watched podcasts are pretty aware of Josh, and I'll let him kind of fill everyone else that hasn't seen him before in. But Jesse, you're the founder of Golden Ratio Beef and Bees, and known as a regenerative quantum cowboy. Believes in the Bible, the blood, beef, bees, Bitcoin, and Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. You coined the term stewardship ranching. It's a regenerative philosophy that positions humanity as caretakers within God's creation, and committed to restoring the interconnected health of human, soil, plant, animal web. Through this work, you are harnessing photosynthesis and plant carbon interactions to build ecological resilience and increase biodiversity and enrich living soil as dynamic nutrient reservoir. Your approach transformed beef production into a net carbon sink by grazing cattle on prosperous perennial pastures while maximizing resource efficiency and fostering direct producer-consumer relationships. That is a mouthful, man. Pretty awesome. At Golden Ratio Beef and Bees, you uphold that thriving land produces thriving animals that nourish thriving people. So that's a pretty strong statement. And you're a strong advocate of sound money principles. You accept Bitcoin and silver as payment, which I think probably in your area, you're over in Kentucky. I mean, I don't think you're probably a pretty narrow class over there right now. We hope to have more of you. But you dedicate your efforts to reflecting glory to God by revealing the wonder, order, and abundance woven throughout creation. That's quite a bio that you sent out. And, I think a lot of people know you over here because you are a very good jiu-jitsu artist. So, I mean, I don't think anybody really wants to mess with you. I've seen some of the stuff that you've done to people over the time. But so kind of tell me a little bit just about how, why you decided to cross Bitcoin with your business, and, maybe a little bit more about kind of like what you're actually doing on the farm that explains this pretty incredible bio, actually. I mean, if I had to write that, I don't think I could come up with it. And I know you don't use AI, so that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, I mean, Bitcoin to me, it's like that solid ground and sinking sand, Like we got all this fiat, and it's not being a store of value for us, And I think that's it's a necessity, whenever we're talking about, a hard money, versus a fiat currency. So
yeah,
put it on your balance sheets.
Well, I mean, I think of it as a ranch and cattle has a store of value. We've got animals that are out there producing for you. You've got bees that are creating food and sustenance and bringing energy to people. I mean, your bio says it pretty straight. It's like, especially after the last election, I mean, we've had a real focus on health and how poor our health is overall. Mm-hmm. And, having regenerative farmers in this area is very exciting to me. I got another really good friend that I've podcasted with a couple times.
And just that ability to like peer-to-peer, exchange value is it's fundamental to Bitcoin. We're taking out the bank here. There's no middleman. It's me and you making a transaction,
Well, I think, for me, he and I purchased nodes, and what a lot of people don't know about Bitcoin is basically we can do a transaction without any oversight, because basically the nodes help us know what transactions are real and legit. And, I think we talked about that a lot, Josh, on the podcast, and just what that means is we don't have to rely on a third party really to transact between us.
Yeah, you don't have a Visa, you don't have a MasterCard, American Express, or any bank tell you one way or the other what to do with money, which is your energy, which you've exchanged with somebody at some point for. So yeah, I mean, ultimately that's critical, and it really shouldn't be held by other people. I mean, that's when you really start to study and understand money and its intrinsic properties, when it gets down to brass tacks, it's actually quite simple. But at the same time, if you had a cartel that held a lot of power and yeah, why would you willingly give that up? So I think that's the beauty behind, Satoshi Nakamoto. It's just, and that whole backstory of whoever that may be.
That may be. So part of the conversation today, obviously, you had a series of things that you wanted to go through just to explain to local business owners or business owners wherever of why they should look deeper and deeper into Bitcoin. And so, like, I've had a lot of people, even since our last podcast, that kind of come. And I always wear shirts, so, you know, quite often, at least once a week, I'm out in public wearing some kind of a Bitcoin promoting shirt, just because I want to get people thinking about it. And especially people that I know, like, why are you wearing that? And I do get that a lot, you know. And why are you
saving in a fiat currency?
Yeah. That's a good one. I'm not nearly as witty as you, Jesse. So, like, yeah, that's very right. So it's like, it's pretty easy because I speak common language. It's like, well, I know the things that I could buy 5 or 10 years ago. I mean, the guy that was in here earlier, what was he talking about? You know, just the cost of everything has just skyrocketed. And that's not really because the value of anything has gone up that much more. It's because our government has printed and created something out of nothing. And there's no store of value behind that. And so, like, even, you know, we were insulated here in this area, I think, from skyrocketing housing prices for a long time. And I know, you know, I've got family members like, well, my house value has gone up so much. It's a good thing. I'm like, it's a good thing until you try to go buy the next one. And, you know,
you need somewhere to live still.
Yeah, you buy something smaller and it costs just as much as you sold your bigger house for. I mean, that's the only thing that it's done for me. Like, maybe it helps somebody that's 80 that's going into retirement home. Yeah, it's helped them build that. But like, if you're looking to not live in your house for 50 years, you know, I don't think it really works that way. So that didn't really translate to business, but, you know, I'm looking, every time I talk to a business owner, I try to have a conversation about Bitcoin with them.
Yep. Yeah. And how I would always lead that in, whoever's working the register, whether, or, you know, a server or whomever, I always ask, I most typically know the answer, but I always ask, I was like, oh, do you guys accept Bitcoin? And most of the time you either get a funny look or just a blatant no. But if people are asked that enough, that's going to work its way up the chain. It's like, hey, people just keep kind of asking about this.
We're accepting it Steak and Shake now. At least that's a huge move.
Yeah, and they've
actually got a Bitcoin burger with the Bitcoin logo.
Do they really?
They do.
Yeah.
Have you been in there?
Yeah, and they're all about tallow too. So buy stock in Steak and Shake.
Did you see the latest thing? I posted something on it. So they've had beef tallow fries for a long time, which much better than seed oil frying in seed oil. But they just started selling burgers that are grass-fed, grass-finished beef. I'm like, the only thing that they
have the finished on the end too.
That's what they said. Now I haven't audited them to really prove that, but I'm like, the only thing they're missing is like, get rid of whatever GMO glyphosate bread that you have and actually have some bread that's that would make, I would go to there regularly.
I don't know, man. I'm like a grain finished type of beef guy.
You're grain finished?
Oh yeah, I do extra fat on there. It's just like,
let's have a debate over
it. It's just like, I don't know. It's like, yeah, I'd be willing
to. A little bit of GMO.
Yeah, it's just like, just a little bit. It's like GMO light.
Just a little bit of little bit of poultry
diet GMO.
A little bit of poultry.
They do that. It's a cheap nitrogen, you know.
Oh, well, that's disappointing.
It is. Yeah, it's actually legal in the United States. It's illegal in Canada and a lot of other places, but
Europe probably doesn't allow it, do they?
Oh, probably not.
No.
Oh man, their food quality's so good. It's outlandish.
Well, their bread. It's like
they make it every day. So
I could eat as much bread as I wanted when we went to Croatia, and because everything is cooked fresh, and they don't have any of the enriched wheat and any of that jazz.
Yeah, their wheat isn't sponsored by somebody.
No, if you and I would like, we did a boat trip off the Croatian coast. It was like a river cruise because you're not really out in the Adriatic Sea. You're kind of more of an intercoast, and they made fresh croissants every morning. So like 5:30 in the morning, you're sitting in your room and like you just get this smell. And I think they're so fresh, like you didn't really want to eat them the next day. They were just like fresh right out of the thing, and like they're going bad almost within 24 hours because they don't have preservatives in them.
Right.
And I think I ate my weight in croissants on that trip. It was incredible. But that was good bringing that up with I didn't even think about bringing that up today. The Steak and Shake has really made a business model out of Bitcoin and just going towards the health side. And I think it's really helped them kind of get relevant again because I think they were really they were closing places. I think we had 2 in Evansville at one time.
Yeah.
We
I
had
used
on
to
West
work at the
Side.
East Side one.
Yeah, is the East Side still?
No,
Neither one of them
they're
are
both
open anymore.
Oh, that's unfortunate. Now I kind of want one back. So, I know there's one in Bloomington.
Yeah, Terre Haute's the nearest one, man.
Start frying your stuff in tallow. You know, everybody's tired of seed oils.
100%. Well, I mean, that's a very.
But just be careful of the ban on tallow, the tallow ban. No?
Oh, no, that was bad. That was not good.
Had to.
That was good. I mean, it's good.
Like
but
Taliban?
Taliban.
The Taliban?
Oh,
Like over in Afghanistan, Taliban?
He had it was a little overlap war.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. I had to.
But no, what was interesting, just talking about beef and stuff, is I was at the Bitcoin conference down in Nashville a couple years ago.
I was there too. Were
Really?
you in Nashville?
Yeah.
Were you there at the
I was at the Beef Initiative.
No kidding.
Yeah, so
well, then we've probably seen each other.
so I was there, me and a bunch of buddies went to the conference, and then when I was buying my ticket, I saw like the little add-on for the Beef Initiative, and I was like,
Tomahawk ribeyes.
that's what I said. I was like, man, you know what? It's probably going to be a good event. I was like, I'll probably get a little sample. It'll be cool, whatever. So I did the 2-day pass. I was like, it was $50.
Nice.
I was like, all right, we'll see fajitas and all sorts of stuff. So I went, and then my buddy, he just got the 1 day for the tomahawk ribeyes. So I went the first day by myself, and I was like, oh, this is cool. So I like went around, they had all the vendors, like the beef tallow soap people out of New York. They were super cool. A lot of jerky.
Born to be free.
Yeah. But yeah, ran across it, and I told my buddy, I was like, and then sampled the beef. I was like, oh man, this is really good. But then so I ran into my buddy at the conference. I was like, hey, dude, I can't wait for you to go tomorrow. I was like, this is like legit. And he's like, oh, cool. So, and I didn't realize like it was just like all you can eat steak for the ribeye. So, like, no joke, I probably ate 3 pounds of like ribeye, and usually you just be like, and so did my buddy. He was just like, we just absolutely house it. Best beef I for sure have ever had. And I was expecting, I was like,
K&C cattle, I think they're in Texas. That's where that meat came from.
and then Texas Slim, he spoke there.
I was back there volunteering.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So like we had housed so much meat, and I was like, oh man, I'm gonna like go into a meat coma. And I was like, but nope, there was none of that. Like my mind felt sharper. I was like, for as much meat as I just ate, like I should be like miserable in the gutter of Nashville right now on Broadway. But no, and then after that I was kind of sold. I was like, all right, cool. So I've been following the Beef Initiative, and then finally I pulled up a map and then ran across your business, and I'd shot you a text. We chatted a little bit before,
I remember that now.
Before that, and I got a hold of Texas Slim on Twitter, and I was like, hey, I'm in Southwest Indiana. Who do you have? He's like, oh, talk to Jesse at Golden Ratio. It's like, all right. So I was like, Jesse, Texas Slim sent me.
Well, just so
I'm here from Texas.
I don't want to stop this riff because this is really good, but just so those that don't know what the Beef Initiative is, it's a decentralized rancher to consumer food movement focused on transparency, localized food sourcing, and self-custody. So, I mean, those keywords in there, we talk about that a lot. I mean, it's the transparency and what the food actually is, and the decentralization. So it's like what it says is regenerative farmers are distributing directly to people rather than relying on centralized supply chains. So really, it's their way of going outside of the old way of getting food delivered to your door to the grocery store.
Rancher Direct.
And I don't think probably a lot of people don't really know about that around here because we're a little bit smaller town kind of area, but like people go to a Sam's or Costco or local grocery store and they'll buy organic beef or organic chicken or whatever, and they think this is good, and in a lot of cases it probably is better than the standard. But like what you're talking about and with the Beef Initiative is really you can go out to the farm, really know where that beef is coming from, understand what that beef was fed, how it lived. I mean, you really get kind of that hands-on experience. Am I right on what
yeah,
that is?
As far as I know, but Yeah, Jesse, what else do you, how long have you been involved in that? I'm curious.
How long have I been involved in the beef initiative?
Yeah.
2 years, something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's right around when the conference hit
Mm-hmm.
down in Nashville.
Mm-hmm.
So is that more for giving the finger to the processing plants and kind of that cartel in terms of like butchering and stuff like that? I know that's part of it, because a lot of them seem to be a lot of like local ranches and everything are getting bought up by the processing plants because only so many are USDA approved, and
Right. That's part of it. I think the main thing though that we're focused on, is the access, the peer-to-peer access with the beef. We're talking about, supply chain vulnerability, 85% of our beef being imported into this country. So we're only producing, who knows how much. We export quite a bit of our beef too. So we eat very little of our own beef.
so why is that? And where does our beef come from?
It comes from all over, like Mexico, Brazil, Argentina. We just struck a big deal with them. New Zealand.
So why aren't we eating our own beef?
Good question. That's a very good question.
So is it cheaper to get Americans to buy potentially, and I don't even want to say it's not as good, because I'm sure there's some, but if you're shipping stuff up from Argentina and Mexico and South America, then there's likely going to be some type of preservative in it for it to last that long.
Well, it's just so deceptive the way that they do it, because you'll see that USDA label on your package. You think, okay, product of the USA. It's not. It was imported in bulk here and then repackaged and inspected by the USDA, and that's how they get around that.
So who do you know who like the big beef importers are? Is it a certain company, or is it like
JBS is a big one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
As far as the four process, it's definitely the big four processors that have kind of cornered the market. We're talking about JBS, Cargill, Tyson, and National Beef. So they're kind of the culprits behind all the price fixing.
So you're going to relatively get, if you look to get a 16-ounce ribeye somewhere, it's going to kind of be about the same price everywhere versus, and inevitably it screws over the rancher, doesn't it?
Yeah. Screws over the cow-calf rancher the biggest, because he's the guy that he's trying to winter that cow,
Mm-hmm.
With the least possible overhead, and you're talking about if you're taking that calf to the sale barn, there's very little margin there,
Yep. And
prices are starting to get better, but it doesn't make sense, to me, if I was taking them straight to the sale barn, it wouldn't be worth it,
Mm-hmm.
The only way I've found that's worth it to do it is if you direct market and you value add. So we're talking about, no chemicals, no hormones, no GMOs, clean beef, pure beef.
yeah, and there is a wild taste difference too. Like I said, at the conference, at the Beef Initiative little party they had outside the conference, the convention center in Nashville. I mean, it felt like I was like, oh, this is probably how beef is supposed to taste. I was like, oh, this is great.
Mm-hmm.
Same thing when I got bored during COVID, I started growing vegetables. And I was like, I like radishes. I was like, I'll grow some radishes. And then I pulled one out of the garden. I ate one. I was like, oh, this is how, I think it's the first time I've ever had a radish. I was like, this is how they're supposed to taste.
Yeah.
Well, I always try to stir in a little bit of larger conspiracy into these things. And the other regenerative farmer that I've podcasted with, I've been a friend for a long time. Basically, big.
Who is this?
Brandon Pfeiffer. I think I tried to connect. He's Pop Junkers. He does organic popcorn.
Okay.
He's raising. So he does organic corn, and he's using corn is being sold to. I'm not going to name the restaurants because I didn't get permission for that. But he's selling organic corn for tortillas for a high-end restaurant in town.
Mm-hmm.
He's producing pork, which is organic, and they can track exactly where everything's coming from, so it's sourced right. But he owned a ostrich business a long time ago, and basically I don't know if it was Big Dairy or Big Chicken, like whoever the people that control the markets in
Tyson.
chicken and poultry and whatever, basically ran the ostrich business out of business because they were I think they were kind of like the original run of small, independent, decentralized alternative meat, basically, that was outside of dairy, pig, and all that. And they basically got shut down. I mean, the family was, they had a huge business, and the government basically took it down. But I only say that to say this. The latest thing that you guys might have heard of is the tick. What's the tick that
alpha gal?
So the thing that's creating alpha gal,
Lone Star tick.
That's right.
and the people up at the top basically let out of the bag that the reason why there's a good sense that these things were created in a lab, the ticks basically, and they've been released into areas, but it creates a way it makes it where you can't eat red meat. You can't eat meat.
Yeah.
And these people kind of are giggling. They're giggling and smiling because they say, well, we eat too much red meat and that's bad for the environment. And so this is a good thing. Of course,
Is this the cow fart thing?
Well, no, I mean, so they used that for a while, but now they're just like, they just don't want us to eat meat. And then you got like the Bill Gates who are creating synthetic meat in a lab. Yeah. And I'm like, how does anyone think that is healthy? I mean, I don't understand how anyone would fall for that.
A lot of people do.
That Beyond Meat, its stock is like it's suffering, you know?
Yeah, it's junk stock at this point. I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
So I mean, like as many times as I can get you as a decentralized farmer and a decentralized thinkers, both of you, to sit down and to just have conversations and to like, I'd love to get even bring Brandon into this conversation with us. And
this is the other regenerative rancher.
Yeah, he's the one that's working with local. So he's finding a pathway. I think he's also doing organic sweet potatoes.
Okay.
But he's got, so as you probably know, it's like you can think about growing bigger as a regenerative farmer, but you have to have a way to sell. I mean, you have to have sales to grow your herd. You need to know that you can get, you have a pathway to sell that product. So I mean, you kind of got to figure out who you're going to sell it to, and then build the stock to where you.
Now is a great time. I mean, there's a tsunami, of just people thinking about, got to eat better. You get, you're poisoning me,
Well, I mean, it's only take those crazy people that think it's funny that people get tick-borne illnesses that stop them from eating meat. Yeah. I'm like, those people are psychotic. They don't need to be anywhere in the conversation, and the fact that they're out there kind of giggling and thinking this is a good idea is it's sick to me. So again, we are surrounded by thousands and thousands and thousands of acres of farm ground, and we've had and unfortunately we've robbed a lot of that ground, and so people like you, people like my buddy Brandon, are having to come back and regenerate the earth and bring the nutrients back out and make it to where the water doesn't flow right off the top, but it absorbs into the ground. I mean, that takes time, money. And you have to be on purpose. I mean, you're doing it for a reason. You're not doing it because you're out to make a lot of money. That's what I find so cool about what you're doing. Is like, it's obvious it's not a get rich quick scheme. It's like a kind of a get poor slowly scheme, a little bit. Right? But I say that jokingly. I mean, you are trying to grow the thing and make it a business and make more and more. And so
grow the cow herd. That's the tunnel vision.
Yeah. So you talked about that a little
bit. Stack the stats.
Yeah. Same thing.
Yeah.
So you're talking about, have you grown your herd since the last time we talked?
Yeah, absolutely.
Kind of tell us.
Keep all the replacements back, and we're just trying to build up right now. More producing calves, or more producing cows, more calves, So.
About how many head do you have?
We got about 13 right now. Yeah.
And so, like,
13 cows, 13 bee colonies.
13. So okay,
lucky number 13.
Look at this. Numerology's in play. I didn't mean to derail you guys, but like you guys you started talking about the beef initiative, to me, there's multiple things that are kind of overlapping here, and it's like I want my family to eat the healthiest food that we can eat. And I know you like a little GMO mix in there.
I don't know, man. Just like Taco Bell every once in a while. Just like, well, that's it just hits it right, man.
No, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, everything's in moderation, right? But like, if you can eat good food most of the time, I think you're going to be.
Next time we're gonna do it, we're gonna try them side by side. We'll bring a GMO one. All right. We'll bring one of mine.
Hey, okay, I'm down.
Oh, we're gonna do a taste test.
Bingo. Yeah. Only one way to solve it.
That's right.
Put a grill out front, and we'll figure it out.
Well, so if we come to your farm next time we talk, we'll grill them right out there
We'll grill it right over the fire.
Are you a rare, mid-rare?
Rare. Sure. Yeah.
Just burn the edges a little bit.
Yeah.
Call it good.
Yeah.
2 minutes on each side, super hot.
I like the flame to just whisper at it, just like.
Yeah.
I like a little. I like a little. I know char's not good for you.
I'm kind of a sissy. I prefer like a medium well.
Or
medium rare. Excuse me, medium
okay.
rare.
All right. That's a big difference.
Sorry,
dude.
medium rare.
You triggered us all.
Some pink.
We almost like. Oh.
I want some pink, but I don't want it bleeding.
I'm gonna take that perfect piece of meat and burn it.
I'll show you perfect. I'll show you a perfect piece of meat.
What?
Nothing.
Okay, that's a different joke. So let's get back into the. I'm sorry, I got you out of the beef initiative. I don't know if you guys really ended where you were going with that, but
where's the beef?
So I think the last thing what you said, and I think it was in 2024, was the beef was the thing in Nashville.
Yeah.
Like, what's the ongoing? Like, how is that? How do you feel that's grown since Maha? Either one of you got something to say about kind of where that's going and any updates since the Nashville thing? I mean, it's a great idea, obviously, but.
I know I can at least, I guess we were both there, unbeknownst to either one of us. But I think, that is a phenomenal. They're hitting the right audience of, so yeah, they're definitely paired with a great organization of putting on at the big conference, and hopefully they'll be back. 'Cause I think it's moving back to Nashville next year. But yeah, in terms of. I've heard some scuttlebutt. I don't follow it as closely. I keep an eye on it in terms of, was it the McCool?
MCool, yeah.
MCool.
Mm-hmm. That was where they were going to actually have to label the country of origin that it came from, Well,
it makes sense.
Well, it was like that at one point, but
I wonder who threw a big shit fit about that.
It sounded like it was kind of a World Trade Organization fiasco,
Yeah.
A lot of interest to protect.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I think for me, like the Maha movement is more about just decentralized, local, clean food. And I think I stepped my toe in it, but like we got thousands and thousands of acres between our home here in the Evansville area and your home over in Kentucky. It's like we could have so many organic farms and feed our own and regenerating our land.
That has to be the focus right now, because the topsoil, whenever the Europeans came over here, we're talking about, 7% average of topsoil. Each percentage holds 25,000 gallons of water. So 7 times 25, that's a lot of water we can hold right there, opposed to now we're only like less than 1% organic matter. So it's no wonder our rivers flood, and our land is not protected against drought and stuff like that. It's got to start with building the soil back, building that organic matter back into the soil, and the only way to do that is through the cow. Not the only. There's other ruminants, sheep. I've got a few sheep now too. So,
oh, do you? Okay.
Yeah. So, but those are. Their manure, that helps, more topsoil. So,
Murphy, I don't know. Murphy was. Has everyone seen Murphy? Has he been on camera yet?
Yeah, he was up kind of on camera.
Okay, all right.
You can call him up there if you want.
Yeah, he's got something to say about it.
Dad, what are we doing here?
No, I think the right person is in charge with Bobby Kennedy in terms of being, I couldn't think of a better cheerleader of,
I think anybody else in that position would have collapsed and folded by
I'm
now.
thankful for what he's done, for sure.
Yeah. That's one of the highlights.
You gotta call out what's happened here lately with the Roundup fiasco getting moved to national security status. and he condones that, you know. And so I'm a big Roundup hater. Any chemical, you know, fertilizer and insecticide, herbicide, all the sides, you know, we talked about last time. I think side and
genocide also not good.
To kill. So why are we trying to kill everything? You know, we're trying to bring the life back to the ecosystem, and the best way to do that is through biodiversity. You know, stack these you know, these other animals on top of each other, so there's more dimensions in the ecosystem, and that's the interesting thing about beef is like whenever they went to examine, you know, what were the main drivers of nutrition density in beef, okay, and so they concluded that, you know, what breed was irrelevant, you know, age, all that kind of stuff, that was all irrelevant, but the biodiversity of the plant species that these cows consumed, that was the single one thing that contributed to the nutrient density inside that beef.
It makes sense.
So the more, you know, the more different kind of plant species, you know, you got, better your the more nutritious your beef is going to be, you know.
100%. Well, I mean, I think, you know, as a deer hunter, you know, some people live and die to eat game, eat deer, but I mean, what you know about them, unless they're out there eating cornfields that are GMOs, which that does happen. I mean, during the winter months, I mean, they really are grazing off stuff that's in the woods, and, you know, things that are very biodiverse in the woods. I just feel like if we could improve the quality of the soil and the products we're putting out, this is where I feel like Maha and Kennedy, I think we could still go several more notches up and really give regenerative farming the oomph that it needs.
Yes. Why do all these GMO farmers, you know, these modern monocrop farmers, why do they have subsidies and I don't, you know? Why does this kind of farmer get subsidies and this kind doesn't?
Well, I can tell you. You don't have a lobbyist. You don't have a lobbyist, Jesse. Come on. I'm trying to lobby for you here. That's what we're doing.
Yeah. So, and then, you know, they just get bailed out every year, you know, and the world is awash in soybeans right now. Talking about, you know, we export 50% of our soybeans, you know, GMO corn, you know, 40% goes into ethanol. So they try and fearmonger us with all this. We got to have this agriculture, you know, America's going to starve. BS, you know.
Yeah, I don't believe any of that.
No, it's fear mongering, you know, so they can, you know, it's ruining the soil, you know, and all that, all the stuff that's grown in the agricultural world, it pollutes the people in town.
Yeah, so I mean, I feel like I would love to do just a regular podcast with you and Brandon, for that matter. And I'm sorry to exclude you on this one, Josh, but I mean, just bringing two local, similar-minded people talking about how can we. Yeah, I've asked my buddy Brandon this many times. Like, I've got a couple pieces of ground with family farm stuff. It's like, okay, how can we take 20 acres out of conventional agriculture and turn it into something, maybe we're only using 5 acres, making the same amount of money? Because like my dad has property, and what he always wants to do with conventional farming is pay the taxes on it, or he doesn't have anything out of his pocket, which and he use it for hunting. Like, so, you know, conventional agriculture does bring deer onto your property, and, you know, some deer do eat some of that crop, so you lose some of that, but it pays his taxes. Like, it's really the only reason. He's not doing it for money. He's doing it to not lose money in taxes. So why wouldn't we be able to get more decentralized and more local, organic? And I know the answer before I ask the question, but it's like, why wouldn't we want to grow organic potatoes and organic corn and things that we don't have to ship in from other countries? And I mean, it just seems like, why are we allowing a big system way up on top to say, this is how you eat, and we're going to give you the food that we want you to have? It's like, just let my neighbor, who is an expert in cattle or an expert in organic crops, give them money and supply the people that live around us here.
And I don't understand why we don't do that. Historically was, you know, the whole cow used to, you know, stay really close to the community, you know. But now it's not this, you know, a lot, like I say, a lot of our beef is exported, you know?
Well, and I mean, just because that's the way we've done it recently, it doesn't mean that's the way we need to continue it forward.
Mm-hmm.
Like I feel like if we have the right minds locally and regionally, we can.
We got all this land out here that's doing nothing, like the CRP, you know? This
paying farmers not to plant crops
because they've mismanaged their farm and their soil. You know, it's eroding away their tops. It's fragile land. You know that the water erosion is taking hold. You know, and then you're just paying this farmer because he's screwed up his own land to do nothing with it. You know, how about we take that land and let people get onto it that have a regenerative mentality. You know.
Well, I want to push back on you a little bit there. I know some standard farmers, and I don't think they're intentionally screwing up their land. What I think is they've been told and sold a certain bill of goods over the years.
No, I don't.
They've had people selling them.
Right.
Here's what you need to buy. Here's the stuff you need to put on your land. Here's what the government.
I can see that. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's all.
Sure.
I know what you meant, but I just wanted to confirm where we were going with that.
I don't think they're out there intentionally doing that.
No.
They don't think about microbiology and, biodiversity of plant species or anything like that.
No.
They're
thinking about bugs not eating their plants is all they're thinking about.
To them, it comes down, chemical nutrients comes down to three things, 10 chemical fertilizer, what is it? Nitrogen, phosphorus. I can't even remember the other one now, but that's what they pretty much, summed up, plant nutrition into these three nutrients, and that's what makes
nice little sales pitch that
what's that?
Nice little sales pitch for like a agricultural chemical salesman to come by and tell you
exactly.
like,
Yeah,
oh, here's what you need.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly, and it wasn't like that, until the World War II,
Okay.
and all the nitrogen fertilizer came in,
Okay.
and all the
yeah, there was a lot of weird stuff that happened post World War II. I think with my buddy, he wrote about it just in terms of Levittown and the theory of the suburb. I mean, that didn't really exist previous to World War II, and you look into it, and it was specifically the federal government was so concerned that men who had served overseas would still be really, really tight knit, which obviously, serve in World War II or any type of war and you're in the military, you're going to be tight with the guys that you served with.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, well, hey, then the federal government pushed the concept of the suburbs. Oh, white picket fence. And so then you slowly, get further and further out of the city center. And then you start losing civic organizations and you start seeing, Rotary Club, Lions Clubs, and Freemasonry and all that stuff. You just start seeing.
Are we gonna go down the?
Hey, you guys go wherever you want to go. I've got bourbon. We're gonna take a break, and then here in a little bit we can go.
I'm a Freemason.
You pick.
Oh, you are.
Oh yeah. So
I see.
Oh yeah. Here we go.
Here we go.
Before we get too deep into that, I did look it up. It's called NPK. It is nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium.
There we go.
NPK. Yeah.
There we go.
But no, just a lot of civic organizations. They lost and people being involved in their community. And anytime you even go to any of these things anymore, there's just like the same 5 people who show up because they're bored, retired, don't have anything else better to do, versus people who were also working and were involved in their community. It's like, a lot of that stuff is gone because it's like, oh, okay, well, I go drive into town to work and then drive back out of town to go home. And then you barely know your neighbor and, you don't really, you just give them the Midwest wave. Like, hey, not the Michigan hello. That's a different one. But
What's that one look like? Oh, that's the middle finger is the Michigan hello. Yeah. That's funny.
Yep.
That sounds like something you get in New York City.
Yeah.
Somewhere.
Yeah.
I think that's in New York City. Fuck off.
That's true.
But yeah, and I think too, just to your point, I hope people don't forget, just 6 years ago, we saw how fragile our supply chain was as a country. It's like, that was yesterday. And it's like, and what has happened to remedy any of that stuff?
What did we learn? How did
we learned how fragile it was.
Yeah.
We were like 1.5 meals away from chaos as a country. And everybody's just like, what happens if we run out of food? Everybody's like, I don't know, we might find out. But yeah,
Make sure to go solar and be dependent on China.
Yeah. I mean, that's a really great point, actually, Josh. What people, that story, the COVID story tells puts a spotlight on so many weaknesses that we have in our supply chain. And again, people don't think that it can happen because we're in America and we're in this isolated area in the Midwest, but it can absolutely happen anywhere. I mean, if they decide they're going to shut down or they're going to debank or they're going to start telling people they can't leave their house for any period of time, I mean, it causes a ripple effect that I really don't think we've. Oh, there! I knew Murph would get back in.
Murph's looking for some love.
There we go. I like it. But again, I just feel like this Bitcoin story overlap that we have here is, I mean, Bitcoin is kind of an FU to the banking system that has manipulated and robbed people of generational wealth forever. And if you don't know that story, I mean, there's a lot of documentation out there. I think you mentioned something. It's been told many different ways, but it's like, again, so do we really need money? Well, we need money to buy essential things. Absolutely.
What's essential,
Well, what's essential is food.
Yeah, exactly.
Something to not die from exposure.
Right.
It's those things that they shouldn't be able to take away from us through a policy or a knee-jerk reaction or whatever. And if we were back in a collaborative mindset with our neighbors and with farmers around and we had enough cattle and pigs and sheep and chickens and whatever to sustain ourselves.
Barter. You just barter with each other. I've got honey. You've got maple syrup. Okay. Let's make a barter.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't know how far we can go back to that, but I just feel like if we have more people if we could talk some politician at the state level even, or maybe even the county level, to give the regenerative a chance. I just feel like most people, if they were made aware of what kind of difference it would make in their health and in our lives and our security and our supply chain, if it hits the shan, I mean, there's just so many things that we could go there. And that's kind of overlapping this business model. I think that we're going to get into here and talking about what Bitcoin can do for business. Yeah. Because I think it could do a lot for farming. People could scale what Jesse's doing and
inevitably, we can cover a million different topics, but 99% of the time, the common denominator of this is going to be money in some form. So yeah, you can operate. And one thing, I told my buddies I was coming on. I was like, hey, if anybody here's kind of what's going on the podcast. If you got any questions. And one of the questions, and I think a really good example is, so how long have you been in the beef industry?
2007.
Okay, 2007. So what's kind of like your best seller, like a side of beef or quarter, or when you would go and
what's
sell?
the best way to sell it and profit the most? Is that what you're asking?
What would be your most? What do you sell the most of in terms of your beef?
Oh, ground beef by far.
Okay.
And what we do actually with our ground beef is we're grinding the heart and the liver in there.
Oh, all the good stuff.
Yeah, so it's actually way more nutrient dense than, just regular ground beef.
Okay. So 2007, what's kind of your big, do you sell it in bulk, like 10 pounds or a pound or?
Most of my stuff sells on shares anymore. So I've got like a whole cow is a standard 360 pounds. Okay. So we're looking at 180 pounds for a half, I've got all the way down to 1/16, which is about 21 pounds.
Right. So what would you say, like, what was a pound of ground beef, let's say 2010, give or take?
I don't know what it was in 2010. It'd be interesting to know, Travis.
Oh, okay.
Are you talking about?
You mean commercially? Like
Commercial
just
or-
if you
or
went to
like-
Walmart to buy beef, you mean?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll
just
go
average beef.
commercial because
I'm guessing it was probably in that $4 somewhere range in
Okay.
2010. You say? Yeah.
So we're talking 15-ish years ago.
All right. So in 2010, the national average retail price of uncooked ground beef was approximately $2.25 per pound. 2.25.
2.25.
2.25.
Well, that's the standard 2.25 for
In
standard.
2010?
Yep. According to the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics and Consumer Pricing Index.
Okay, so what is that?
So you wanna
so
look today
we can
then?
totally believe them. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, so we'll.
So 26, price of ground beef. The national average price for ground beef right now is $6.89.
Okay, so
And that's the
now,
standard
Difference
beef.
of like a little over $4. Oh, well, $4.50.
okay, so now my question is, so what was the price of ground beef in Bitcoin in 2010 in
In terms of sats.
terms of sats?
How many
It'd probably be
sats?
whole Bitcoin at that point. I don't know.
So,
So, yeah,
wonder-
some type of
that is
Bitcoin
interesting.
calculator in 2010. I don't know, or use magical AI.
Are you using Google for the math, or who you?
Let's see. In 2010, the average price of ground beef, so 200 pounds of beef would cost. It was right almost 1 Bitcoin.
Okay, so one whole Bitcoin. All right,
in 2010.
2010.
That is crazy.
Okay, so
That is
now
crazy.
now what's today's price for a pound of beef?
Oh, this is
in
a good one.
Bitcoin.
Bitcoin?
Yeah, that's good.
Let's see.
I like that.
26.
Good thought track.
So let's just start that like what we're giving people is if you had a Bitcoin in 2010 and you wanted to buy beef,
Mm-hmm.
you could use 1 Bitcoin
Yeah, get your pound of beef.
and get a pound of beef.
Yep.
Now,
So current Bitcoin is worth, well, according to this calculation, 65,000, but I think it's higher than that right now. But let's just say it is 65,000. Then it would have been about 11,000 sats.
11,000 sets. So here's my point of we have as technology with regenerative farming, in terms of manufacturing, in terms of, artificial intelligence, we have a system in terms of a Keynesian economic financial system, banking system that we operate in that doesn't jive with how technology should actually work. So if you look over the past 15 years in US dollars, the price of beef has significantly gone up.
About triple, it's about triple what it was.
Yeah. So, but if you look at it in Bitcoin, it's went from, and for anybody who doesn't know, 1 Bitcoin is equal to about 100 million sats.
Yep.
So it went from 100 million sats down to 11,000 in the same time period. So in one currency, ground beef is going up, and the other one, it's continuing to get cheaper. So
that's really
and
fascinating. Look.
yeah. So and that goes for everything. So as we get more technologically advanced, and as the cost of human capital should go down in terms of jobs that AI is going to take, then what system do you want to live in? Do you want to live in something to where things get more expensive, or things that get cheaper?
Well, I know what our answer always will be, and I know what the people that run the monetary system's answer will always be.
Yeah.
Because they want to extract as much value out of our labor as they potentially can.
Well, and who wouldn't?
Yeah, if you can do it.
Yeah, if you
it's a
can
good
do it.
it's a good game if you can play it and
Yeah.
be the referee and make the rules and whatever. And that's basically the moral of Bitcoin to me is you take that power out of a centralized, unregulated group of people and you put it into the hands of normal individuals.
Yep.
But you have to have enough people that are buying into exactly what it is and to trust it, which trust is a big word. It's a real short word that most people can't really wrap their head around. It's like, how do you trust? Why do you trust? What does it mean? I mean, I think that's what it always comes back to with Bitcoin.
Yep.
My 80-year-old dad, which is he's in his defense, 80-year-old guy is learning Bitcoin for the first time. It's just
Nope.
never really going to register, and I get it.
He's like, that's not on my bucket list, which is like getting real short.
Well, no, exactly right, and I don't blame him in the slightest. But at the end of the day, what we're talking about now, though, is I have a 15-year-old. So if we can figure out a way to teach that lesson of what you just said, and our education system is crap because they don't teach us really that lesson. You could teach that lesson 50 different ways, but what you just said was, if you would, 2010 is not that long ago, 16 years ago. So if you would have had enough people buying into the system, everything would have already been cheaper.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And here's the thing, at the end of the day, I mean, the information's out there. You have to be a responsible individual. You have to be a responsible citizen, and no one's going to do the work for you to help you understand this stuff. I mean, but there's so much information out there about any topic. I mean, you can YouTube. We've got a digital library of Alexandria. You can look up anything now, but the further and further along that Bitcoin has existed, I mean, I feel less sorry for people because, I mean, it's becoming a choice to continue to operate in the system instead of working on one that benefits humanity. So it's like, so like you are choosing to stay in a system because someone takes care of you, and there's always going to be a percentage of the population that wants that, but there's an alternative out there that is just like, hey, here's what's going on, get caught up of where it is in the history, which it took me a while to figure out and fill in the blanks of what is this thing, when did it start, who started it, understanding computer science, which I never wanted to study.
I know neither one of you have children, right?
No,
that you know of.
But
and both of us do. I've got 2. He's got 1. But here's the dilemma. Yeah, I've got 2 that I know of now. The moral dilemma that we're dealing with here is, you said it like it's on you to learn it because all the information's out there. And I do agree with you. Again, I'm cross-pollinating and going into a rabbit hole here a little bit, but like, we as people that are young to middle-aged adults that have kids have to take it upon ourselves to teach financial education to our kids. They need to understand money. So what that means is everyone listening to this podcast needs to understand what has happened to our money and what has happened to Bitcoin per your story.
Yeah.
Let's break that down. What is money versus fiat? You know?
Well, hang on just a second. Do you guys want to? I think Murph might need to do some business.
Let's take a quick break.
Think so?
Quick break. All right,
quick break.
We'll be right back.
I can do some business too.
I got bourbon business to do. Question.
Sense that you're actually starting to get a lot more of the nutrition that you need because you're getting the good fat before it's all denatured and all that.
Yeah.
I'd say, that's probably the main thing, and just, for sure. Because as you are diversifying your microbiome, you've got more warriors, to fight the bad stuff.
Yeah, which, I mean, that alone they're talking about with, that being the key to chronic illness and chronic pain and all that stuff. So, okay, interesting.
Yeah. I think it's definitely worth the money,
Are you talking about
it's kind of hard to get
non-pasteurized milk? Is that what you're talking about?
Is actually a map called, I forget the map's name now, but it's a raw milk location app, just like the Beef Initiative.
Okay.
Yeah. How they let people know who's in what area, but this one's solely for raw milk. A great place to get it would be Grass Corp. They do things the right way. They're pretty local. I think they're Tell City area, maybe.
Okay, that's just down the road. Stop by the winery.
I'm from Tell City. I'm not familiar with that,
Hamilton.
okay.
Actually, they deliver to Evansville twice a week.
Really? What
You can get half a gallon for $6.25.
That's
okay. That's pretty expensive. That's expensive if you're thinking about milk, but
if you're just doing it for the medical benefits, like I'm taking a cup of it a day, I drink more than that, but I'm using that as an example. It's affordable.
Oh, it's out in Leopold, so it's north of Tell City.
He's from Tell City.
I'm from Tell City. I was I have never heard of that. But it's up in Leopold, about 15 minutes north of Tell City.
Yeah. Anyway,
sorry, I didn't mean to.
I don't even remember where I was going with that, but
just an app.
Well, you're just talking about the benefits of non-pasteurized milk that you get in a store, and because we're on regenerative farming, and it's kind of in the same mindset of stripping away the nasty stuff that we get from the process that is our standard farming. Mm-hmm. And I think the milk is the same way. I mean, you talked about the process that they pasteurize it is heating it up. Mm-hmm. And I mean, my son, even he's 15 and he's all in health. And he's like, Dad, can we start getting raw milk?
Good for him.
And I'm like, okay.
I'll give him a high five. Yeah.
So now our buddy Jesse's going to hook us up with some sources. And one of them's in Tell City, which is pretty freaking cool.
Did you hear what I was saying about the difference between the Holstein versus the Jersey and the Guernsey and stuff?
No.
Okay, so it's a lot smaller cow that produces only a quarter of what a Holstein does. The Holstein produces 4 times more. Okay, but that Jersey and Guernsey actually produces 4 times more cream. The good stuff on top, that you can actually do stuff with. And it's whenever you're getting the milk from all these happy cows and happy pastures, opposed to this thing that's sitting here eating dried distillers grain, which is the waste product from GMO grains, and it's sedentary, and it's actually a situation where it's a success if that cow comes in the chute, drops her calf, and then doesn't even turn around and sniff it. It walks off. So they're bred the maternal instinct out of it because they just put those calves on the self-feeder. So we've talked about how we can eat happiness before, I wonder if we're drinking...
drinking sadness?
Well, that in negative maternal instinct.
Yeah.
Well, and that's just same with chickens. If a chicken's not happy, it's not going to lay eggs at all. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
She's stressed out, then yeah.
So, and yeah, why should cows be producing a good quality product if they're not happy?
Right.
If you're not taking care of them, why would they want to take care of you?
Right.
So to get us kind of back on track, we were talking about what is money. What
we did an Irish intro back into the program.
Yeah, we've been going for a while.
We've been going for a while.
Have we been?
Yeah. Well, because
nice.
The conversation that you were having overlapped exactly with some of the questions my son's asking. So it's I'll just share this clip with him and he'll hear about your version of what you think about raw milk.
Definitely worth the money.
Which it sounds like we've got some good options. So you were talking about, you said, what is money and what is fiat?
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's kind of where we left it before our break.
Yeah. Let's break that down. So fiat versus, to me, there's 3, so there's 2 fundamental qualities in a fiat. So we're talking about a unit of account and a medium of exchange, okay? But what it's lacking is that store of value. That's the difference between a money and a fiat. So Josh, let's talk about what's some characteristics of a good money. We're talking about scarcity. We're talking about portability.
Yep. Go watch episode 85.
Okay.
Yeah, we won't lay down that rabbit hole way into the weeds, but yeah, and I think the biggest thing that we're lacking, I think greenbacks are great at a lot of things, just not as a store of value. Mm-hmm. And I think what people don't realize is it zaps your energy that you have put in to earn that as a medium of exchange and it's robbing you. Mm-hmm. So, and I think that's the biggest thing that is.
I don't mean to cut you off.
Oh, you're fine.
So what are some other monies out there? According to the Constitution, it's only supposed to be gold and silver,
Yep.
Legal tender.
Yeah, that's
So my question is like, okay, so all the people that were alive, pre-World War II, 1933, FDR criminalizes the private ownership of gold. $20.67 an ounce is what he compensated the American people to turn it into the Federal Reserve. And now we're looking at that 5,000 range, Travis.
Yeah, it's about right about 5,000. I'll look it up.
Somewhere in that range.
I keep track.
It crossed the 5,000 threshold, not within the last year, I think, right?
Yep.
So that and that gold has always been the historical inflationary fire alarm.
Yeah, it was the best thing that we had.
Mm-hmm.
So, but then when they
not
criminalized,
the best for portability.
Nope.
That's where Bitcoin kind of comes in.
You try to take it on an airplane with you.
Yeah, exactly.
So the current trading end of day today was at 45.16.
Okay, so it's come back down.
45.16. Okay, so I think we made it up to 5,600.
Yeah, it was up in the 5,000s. Yeah.
yeah. But even think if you could, even the gold certificate dollar bills, where you used to be able to go in and cash your dollar bill in for $1 worth of gold.
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, that was stopped by Nixon.
Right. Right.
But yeah, I think the main thing and what Bitcoin really has solved, besides was the fact that it maintains the store of value. So I mean, there can't be more produced. It was inflationary by design at the start, but over time it will become deflationary over the course of time, which is what we just showed with the ground beef example. So everything on if you are purchasing and operating in the Bitcoin world, everything will become cheaper and cheaper and cheaper, including housing, including electricity and everything. So whereas if you continue to live on an inflationary system like the US dollar or anything else that's governed by a centralized bank, then yeah, things are continually going to get more and more expensive, and your wages aren't going to keep up with that, specifically because the cost of human capital is going to, not only is it going down, it's going to plummet over the next 5 years with robotics and all that stuff. So it's just like, yeah, it's like people have to make a decision here. I mean, it's coming, it's going to be painful, but I mean, it's...
Well, Elon promises with technology, with robots, is they will produce everything that we need, and it will, like technology does when it comes in, it costs higher for the higher technology, and over time, I mean, the phones that we have now, the high-end phones that are $1,000, they'll be $100 in a few years. Right, and it just
really.
Oh yeah, I mean, I don't.
But the new one at the time,
$1,000. So they pull money out, they extract money out of the people that are the early adopters. Like, so they'll take the people that always have to have the top end stuff, the people that are working in technology that need to keep up with the Joneses in technology. They always want to have the best because they want to stay ahead.
I don't know what you're talking about.
I know,
yeah.
But but at the end, in the end of it, it always ends up like this thing here. For this particular version of the Mac that I have, when I bought it, was probably $3,500. If I try to buy that same thing right now, it's probably $700 or something, just with the compute that it has.
I bet it's not not even that.
Yeah, I mean,
to be honest with you, that's probably like $150 computer.
Yeah, so I mean, so to your point, Josh, and I think this is a really relevant. So it's relevant because we're in a window of time where there's so many unknowns, and people are scared because a lot of jobs are going to go away in a relative short period of time. A lot of people have trained their entire lives or worked within those businesses or jobs for their entire lives. So there's a retooling and a relearning that we all have to have. And then we're like, well, okay, how does that affect my bottom line and how I'm able to pay for my mortgage and the food and all that stuff? So we got so many things going in so many different directions. I guess my interpretation of this conversation is like, what can Bitcoin do in the short term? Like we've been struggling to find, like, how can we get people locally to start thinking about it as a tender, like store value in Bitcoin, cash it out, turn it into $1, go buy something as quickly as you can, but instead of money in the bank, keep money in the Bitcoin, and then when you need to go buy something, cash that out, use whatever it is today, and you can take it and you go use it, right? But the rest that you don't have, that you didn't use, put it back in. So I guess with this overlapping thing, and I understand I haven't made a real good question yet, but we are at a precipice of ever-changing technology, jobs that are all going crazy. We know we've been poisoned with our food. Like what can we get to here? Like what can we? I always want rubber hitting the road. Where are we going to with the conversation? Like what are we trying to solve? We're trying to educate people that our money robs us, our fiat money, the greenbacks rob us every single day. Anyone that pays attention to monetary policy knows that. But how can we get 30% of local people to adopt this thing in a relative short period of time as everything is changing rapidly? I think that's kind of the question I think that's lurking in my mind.
Yeah.
Like I could go all in with something.
And I feel like the thing that we're up against a lot of times is, and I just see this from my perspective too, like, I don't want to spend my Bitcoin, I want to spend my junk money first, And I think that's where it's at. That's what's the main bump in the road, for even a lot of Bitcoiners, because I'm still going to pay, greenbacks for.
But I mean, if you could store everything you had though in Bitcoin, like if I handed you $20 right now and you could just convert it like that into Bitcoin, you would do it.
Well, yeah,
right.
Yeah,
but you still do need money to buy something. So like whatever that thing is, you're going to go out and buy a LaCroix water or whatever it is that you're going to drink next. You take out 50 cents for that can and you turn that into that thing. And you didn't rob yourself because that Bitcoin was in there doing what Bitcoin does. Right. And you just took out the little bit that you needed. I mean, I think that's kind of what we're...
And I think it's, once you get to a certain point, it's perpetually buy and hold. So it really... Once you, absolutely.
I didn't wear my HODL shirt. I do have one that says HODL.
Once you understand that, you switch from a consumerist mindset, which is what is blasted to us through advertising every second of every day, to a savings mindset, which isn't good for the current system because the current system has to have spending to continue to stay afloat. But it once you switch from buy and hold to spend and replace, because I'm not likely going to buy anything that I don't have the money for. Mm-hmm. So now it's like, okay, I'm going to go out to dinner. Went and visited Prague. They've got a budding Bitcoin community. Restaurants are accepting it and things like that. I was there last year. So I went to a restaurant that accepted Bitcoin, paid for my meal, and then immediately replaced it. So I had the money for it, like the fiat for it. So I was like, okay. So then just...
You want to prove a concept. Yeah. You're trying to say...
Yeah, I see what you're saying. It is cool to use it.
Yeah, absolutely. And then so when I asked the bartender, I asked her, I was like, oh, you guys accept Bitcoin? And she looked at me kind of weird. She's like, I don't know. So she asked, and some other girl was like, oh, yeah, we totally accept that. She's like, I guess we do.
A bartender, huh?
Yeah.
Bartender. So where was this at?
Some restaurant in Prague, in Czech Republic.
Oh, really?
So
can I play Dum Dum for the viewer?
Dum Dum.
Yes.
Dum Dum, give me Gum Gum. No. So I understand all about Bitcoin. I've got my own node. I've actually got a couple of miners. Like I'm trying to hit a block and all that good stuff. Still haven't, or you wouldn't see me anymore if I had.
What? Right? That's not true.
I'm just kidding.
That's the cool thing.
I'm kidding.
You come for the free bourbon,
I'm kidding. But the thing is that how can you talk somebody who's used to having a stable dollar versus an unstable dollar? Well, I mean, somewhat stable because inflation is going to happen regardless. So the stability of the dollar versus the stability of Bitcoin it's irregardless because inflation is going to happen both ways at the moment. Inflation is going to happen both ways, but Bitcoin is moving, has a lot of movement sometimes.
It does.
So
it's volatile.
There you go, volatile. Very good. So how could you try to talk somebody into using a volatile dollar versus a stable dollar right now?
It's kind of ironic because the U.S. the 10-year Treasury was actually more volatile, than Bitcoin for a good period of time, and that's been the gold standard form of collateral, for a very long time.
Yep.
Ever since the Bretton Woods,
Human behavior in terms of psychology is always going to be based around incentives, positive or negative. If something's positive, we want that dopamine hit. Whatever we do, whether it's we go to the gym, whether we eat a healthy meal, whether we invest our money, that is always going to give positive feedback if you've learned that. I think that there has not been enough, as much as everybody squawks about everything about Centerpoint and utility prices and groceries and gas and everything like that, I don't think there has been enough negative reinforcement. People, I don't think people have felt enough pain yet.
Well, we know why, though. Because $6 trillion stimulus.
Yeah.
They print money. I mean, so
enough pain for what? To finish your statement.
Yeah.
Enough pain for what?
To make
a little painful.
to get fed up and be like, okay, well, what can I do?
Well,
There's no pushback on the system, I think, is what.
Well, right, but so that's where I come from. So regardless if Centerpoint becomes even more expensive,
Which it will.
I know it will. We've talked about that many times.
Oh, it's going to go down here real soon. Just wait.
They're going to give me a 5 cent.
Hold your breath.
5 cent relief on.
They're going to give you $3 off your next bill.
So since Centerpoint's going to raise anyway, I've got $1 that I know is going to be $1 right now. With all the nuances put aside, but just it's $1,
Right?
Or I have my Bitcoin that's either $1 today, $1.20 tomorrow, or 80 cents the day after.
Right.
So I guess what I'm getting at is even the pain you're talking about. So ultimately, I think it's boiling down to you're saying that we need to suck it up, Buttercup. If we want to buck the system, we're going to have a volatile dollar for a while versus keeping our stable dollar and just continuing life as is. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Well, yeah. And how I've been able to justify it to myself was I use Bitcoin as my savings account, even though it is volatile. It's something I don't plan on touching. Mm-hmm. So it's just like, okay, well, I'm not going to touch this for 20 plus years. So it's like, and that's what
it doesn't go down unless you sell. That's market to market, you know?
And ultimately,
it doesn't go down unless you sell. You mean like unrealized loss or gain?
Exactly.
Is that what you're getting at?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you don't get hurt off a roller coaster unless you jump off.
Right. Yeah.
But
it's not the fall that kills you; it's the abrupt stop.
Very true. Fall for as long as you like until you're not falling anymore.
But yeah, and a savings account works in both systems. So to where, you know, even if you're in the Fiat system, savings, you know, your emergency fund or whatever option you take, your savings is there to not touch. You save it. So that largely is based off the capitalist system of having enough to be able to save for later. So,
and unfortunately, inflation rises faster than the interest rate on a savings account. So
correct.
I understand those things. I'm just trying to, like the psychology of trying to get somebody to use a volatile dollar versus a stable dollar.
It's not even to me the psychology of trying to get to prove to someone. It's the psychology of dumbing even ourselves down to understand. Like, we all complain about taxes, and like if you're a business owner and you pay quarterly taxes or whatever, it's painful when you write that big check and like, what did I really get for that? The silent killer is inflation. Mm-hmm. It's because they can't keep up with the debt. They have to print money to keep up with the debt. And so everything is going up in price as our dollar goes down. And these two things are never really are getting closer to each other. Like, dollar value is always going down. Mm-hmm. Inflation is always going up because we're printing more money to pay for this the thing that costs whatever it cost yesterday is always going to be more. Mm-hmm. So like this thing, to me, Bitcoin does stabilize that. Is it volatile? Yes. Did it go down? It painfully, it was very painful when it went from 140 to 75. But my investing didn't change. Like, my investment is I'm just putting money into it because the option is you're putting money into something that they can just go print and turn into a banana republic, and at least there is something to fall back on there. It's kind of like a backup plan to me. For most people, it would be like if you had 10%.
Just in case.
Eventually, we have to start looking at things beyond like U.S. dollar denominated wealth. Like we look
store
at this Bitcoin. Did it go up or did the dollar just lose value? You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, you just look at it. Look at egg prices. How volatile that was. Look at housing prices. How much that has gone crazy in 5-10 years. I mean,
Well, especially since 2008. And that and if you look at it, that's the Federal Reserve's biggest freak out is if there is a deflationary event, which is what happened to housing in 2008. It got flooded, and I bought a triplex for $30,000 downtown Evansville in 2009. So I was fresh out of college, didn't know what was going on. I was like, oh man, housing's real cheap. But then I was like, oh well, now the same place is worth way more than that. So, but is it really? It's still the same bricks. It's still the same mortar. So, I mean, the brick is still a brick. You know,
what's more value to you because you can charge a little more rent than you could back then.
Right.
Like the rent has gone up because inflation has gone up and
Yep. So, yeah, I would. So what was your question again?
Well, I was just trying to talk somebody like ultimately, like, okay, so let's just say the layperson, the person who doesn't really understand Bitcoin, but maybe I'm interested a little bit in trying to figure out how to get out of the system that I'm in right now. But I feel a lot of my safety blanket is knowing that this dollar that that's in my pocket right now is going to be worth $1 today. It's going to be worth $1 tomorrow. It's going to be worth $1 the day after. The Bitcoin I currently have in my wallet today it's worth 75. Yesterday it was worth 140. Not really. I mean, I'm being dramatic, but the volatility of that currency, which sometimes there could be a massive amount of gain there as well. I get that. It's almost like betting on a stock or something.
Yep.
But trying to get somebody to use it as their day-to-day currency, putting all their money, as you talked about, putting all of their money into Bitcoin today, and then unfortunately now I've lost, $300 of my money that I just put in there because Bitcoin went down. Or the flip side of that is, I got an extra $500 that I didn't have before. Great. But getting somebody to get comfortable with the volatility of Bitcoin currently, like how do you think we could maybe make that transition a little less, or not transition, but make somebody want to
make it more palatable.
Yeah, make somebody want to actually try to do it, I guess is what you're.
Well, and I think we're definitely spoiled in the fact that the U.S. dollar is the world reserve currency, so we don't see the fluctuations of.
We're a lot of bit spoiled.
Yeah,
we're exporting our inflation onto the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Yep. So
everybody that saw Nixon take us off the gold standard. Then
Have you guys ever heard of the Plaza Accords? By any chance?
No.
When you sent that to me, that was a Reagan clip. You probably wanted me to have that ready, didn't you?
Oh, that's okay. No, it falls into what we're talking about right now. So back here, wait. Let me
to pull up the video.
Let me look it up real quick.
Try to find it.
Well, I can look it up. You guys keep talking about so as far as we were talking about Bitcoin and how to get somebody to utilize that as their main currency, even though it's more volatile than the U.S. dollar. Like, do you think there's a way for us to really do that, other than just kind of swallowing the loss and just if I really want to change, I just got to deal with it.
And I personally think that there has not been enough people aren't fed up enough with the system.
Yeah, gas has to be $10.
Yep. Yeah. Beef has to be outrageous.
Decent food has to be.
Yeah, it's like, why is it so expensive?
Well, I mean, you go to buy beef anywhere right now. I mean, buying 4 steaks at a Costco or whatever is.
Yeah.
I mean, it's $60. Mm-hmm. If you're buying a good
foreign beef.
yeah, exactly right. I'm not saying I'm proud of it. I'm just saying it's.
So we don't necessarily have to share a clip on this. I'm just going to quickly read a little bit about what this is about. But it says the Plaza Accord was a landmark 85 agreement signed at the Plaza Hotel in New York City by a group of 5 nations, the G5, the U.S., Japan, West Germany, France, and the United Kingdom. Its goal was to collaboratively devalue the U.S. dollar to address severe global trade imbalance. So our dollar back then was worth too much. Like, it was just too powerful, really. And by doing that, we couldn't really export because nobody could afford our exports, right?
Yeah.
So
we could be the most wealthy country. We could.
Right, and we were actually at that time, which was by the early 1980s, the U.S. dollar had appreciated significantly, climbing by nearly 50% between 1980 and 1985. This hyper-strong dollar made American exports prohibitively expensive abroad while making foreign imports to the U.S. cheap. This created a massive U.S. trade deficit, especially with Japan and West Germany, threatening American manufacturing and sparking intense domestic protectionist pressure. So ultimately what they wanted to do is they wanted to devalue the U.S. dollar so that foreign trade could be on a more equal plane. So they agreed. So the agreement was that the finance ministers and central bank governors agreed to intervene directly in currency markets to deliberately depreciate the value of the U.S. dollar against other major currencies, specifically the Japanese yen and the German Deutschmark. What this did was it made those more powerful, so their exports were a little less, a little harder for other countries to buy, but they took that hit for the U.S. to allow so that this accord was kind of to allow the U.S. to be more equal on exporting. Pretty much is what it boiled down to. Well, we're in that scenario kind of again now, and a lot of people thought that Trump going to China with all the key large business owners, Musk and all those guys, may be a new attempt at a revamped Plaza Accord. That's why I asked.
So Plaza Accord was like 1985?
Yes, that was 85 is when that.
So then what happened after that was we basically outsourced all of our labor.
Well, so I can go over it real quick. Immediate effects and long-term effects real quickly. The immediate effect was by using this coordinated strategy was highly effective in the short term. Central banks aggressively sold U.S. dollars in the foreign exchange markets, leading to a massive and rapid depreciation of the dollar. Within 2 years, the dollar had lost over 25% of its value, which successfully helped balance the U.S. trade deficit with European nations. The problem is Japan's lost decade, is really what it's called. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of that phrase before, but I had. But it says, while the accord successfully devalued the U.S. dollar, it produced profound, unintended economic consequences, particularly for Japan. What happened was the yen appreciated. It spiked dramatically, which hurt Japan's export-heavy economy. It says to prevent a recession, the Japanese government implemented massive expansionary monetary and fiscal policies, which pumped huge amounts of cheap credit into the economy. This led to a monumental real estate and stock market bubble in the 80s. When this speculative bubble burst in the 90s, it triggered long-term economic stagnation and deflation in Japan, famously referred to as the lost decade. So ultimately, Japan took the big hit to allow the U.S. really to be more market even for export and imports.
Yeah.
Now, it was unintended.
Isn't it kind of ironic how like they're the ones that are talking about dumping U.S. treasuries right now too? They say they won't, but what happens if they do? They have a lot of debt.
Who, Japan?
You mean if they call their debt? Yeah.
If they were to sell the debt, then that's a lot of bonds. That's a lot of U.S. debt going on the market. Well, that cash has to go somewhere.
Yeah. When has Japan really suffered? I mean, you look at most Japanese cities and their quality of life and their standard of living. Are people in Japan, are they really struggling? Did they take a huge hit? I think they all live
for a decade.
Fairly, okay, but I mean, I think the moral of the story is right now they're doing just fine. I mean, it seems to me I haven't heard any struggle buses going on in Japan. Seems like it's a pretty stable place to be.
I don't know much about it, really.
Yeah.
They've done pretty well in automotive industry here.
Yeah.
So to offset the Plaza Accords in 87, said the dollar fell too low, so those nations achieved their stabilization goals and signed something called the Louvre Accord to halt further dollar depreciation. And some kind of speculate that this last trip to China by Trump might be a talk about something similar to the Plaza Accord.
Interesting.
He's trying to wipe the 38 trillion, whatever it is. Get rid of that.
It's over 40.
It's over 40 now?
Yep.
Yeah. That's why I don't watch that number.
Hang on, let's see. U.S. debt clock. Let's see what that Bubba says right now. In real time.
And so what is that number,
We're not quite to 40.
US Treasury
39.2 trillion.
Issuing bonds, they have to issue more bonds to service, just the interest.
Yeah.
So there's never any way to stop it.
No. And the big issue is, when we got off the gold standard is like wages just went horizontal. I mean, they do go up, but nothing compared to inflation. I think we talked about it on the last cast I was on. And between I'd brought a Wesselman's grocery store.
Oh yeah,
And in the house I'm renovating, I found it was from June of 2001. And all the
It was
grocery
25-year-old grocery ad, which is really cool.
And then compare the two back and forth, and then we figured it's like grocery prices have gone up 300+% in total, but have wages gone up 300% since then?
No.
Absolutely not. So it's like you're gonna continue to fall further and further behind. So unless you're making an additional 10% on your money every year in the current system, you're going to keep falling further and further behind.
It's just characteristics of a debt-based system. We've had, thousands of these fiat currencies, money by decree, where the state issues currency, And, we've had multiple hyperinflate already, and so it's usually they have a shelf life of about 30 to 70 years, something like that. So more average 50,
Well,
so when did we go off the gold standard, or?
Yeah, because it was the British pound before that, and then Dutch were the world reserve currency before that. But yeah, it's like, and the U.S. is kind of at the tail end of that arc of that same time period.
Mm-hmm.
So, and if you look, the Chinese yuan is next in line. So, but I don't really want to settle stuff in a communist-based system. So I'd much prefer to, if I had to, settle things in greenbacks. But if that is a failing system, then what are my alternatives?
Mm-hmm.
So it's just like, well, I got the Chinese yuan or Bitcoin. So I was like, just early adopter.
I'm definitely just not going to ever trust what the Chinese are doing until they're not led by Communist Party. You can say what you want about the flex of between communism, socialism, and capitalism, but like capitalism has not killed nearly as many people as communism and socialism.
No.
And if we actually had a capitalist system, which I don't really think we've had for quite some time, we wouldn't have. It's crony capitalism. I mean, the government is basically saying these are going to be the winners. We're going to make fewer of them, and they're going to get bigger and bigger. And the little people just kind of got to scavenge for the breadcrumbs. So we haven't got that part right. That's where I'm completely honest about. People say, well, our capitalist system has failed us. It hasn't failed us. We failed to follow what the actual tenets of capitalism were by getting banks and corporations involved, and they drive all the policy. They drive what cattle farmers can thrive, and what you have to go through this FDA process. You have to go through this thing, and you have to reach the goals and do what we want you to do. Otherwise, we're not going to give you the nod and the check mark.
We're going to let these 4 processors win because they paid us the most.
That's
money.
exactly right. I mean, it's just bigger bureaucracy. They've got to keep feeding itself, otherwise it dies. I mean, it's pretty. It makes sense, and you can't look at one person and say it's your fault, because they're just kind of in the system that grinds and chews up the little person every single time. What happened? Oh, my glasses are on it. Sorry. You can just say, Chad, your glasses are making a noise. No one's going to care. So where are we going with that? So where are we at in the grand scheme of solving that problem? Like Bitcoin. Let me. I'm going to go on a rabbit hole, because right now we're not having a podcast. We're just having a conversation, and I'm going to go on a rabbit hole.
We just have to be recording it.
Well, I'm very anti-war. I'm very anti any war. I've told people on Facebook, and if I have to say I'm wrong later, I will. I've said, anybody that says Iran war is a good idea, I'm going to vote against them if they're reading it on. I found, and I want people to tune into this program called Promethean Update. Promethean, and it's 2 older ladies who have been in the know, paying attention to foreign policy, paying attention to whatever, and they're basically not in the Trump administration, but they're basically watching his words, his actions, and the outcomes, and saying, this is why we're doing what we're doing. So their central thesis is we are only in Iran because Iran is a proxy state of the City of London, the Bank of London, and money. So they create proxy wars, they create friction in places, they tighten up so oil is money too. Oil is energy. It's taking energy from A to B and powering humanity. It puts the lights on and heats homes, and every country around the world needs that. It's like gold to them. They just use it in a different way. Their thing is, and I'm not pro-Trump on a lot of stuff. I've been very disappointed in some things. But if this strategy is true, what they're saying is this thing that's going on right now basically is trying to solve the City of London, which basically is kind of tied to the Fed in a way that's unregulated.
It's definitely the insurance hub of the world. Lloyd's of London, and
and most people, I don't want to make too deep of a question and run people away from it. I guess what I'm trying to do is understand if the strategy behind it is to make the American system again.
Mm-hmm.
Like where we are is not the American system. It's not what we were created on. At some point, it got bastardized and it turned into something else. And there's people that centrally control that. Bitcoin people can say that's the Federal Reserve. Like they don't listen to anyone. They get appointed. They print money wherever they want, and we just have to deal with what's left over of the dollar, right? What's the question in there? I don't know. What I want to hope that the entire Trump family talking about Bitcoin is they understand why people are attracted to Bitcoin. They've invested in their own Bitcoin ventures. Like what can we take from what's going on in Iran and what's going on with the Federal Reserve, and be confident that Bitcoin is part of the solution and the answer, I guess maybe is a question I have.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a really deep question, and I don't even know if there's an answer to it. But
you just kind of have to ask yourself, does the U.S. Department of Defense, does it exist to promote peace and prosperity, like the narrative suggests, or does it exist to protect the petrodollar?
Which even that system was over 2 years ago. Because I think that expired 2 years ago. Because that was a 50-year deal that Henry Kissinger signed off on. So I don't even know what the current system is. Because the petrodollar, that's technically dead.
Well, the U.S. dollar still has world reserve currency ever since Bretton Woods, 1944. Right. Like a bunch of countries met together, Post World War II, we're going to rebuild, we're going to all get together, and get on the same page. We're going to peg the U.S. dollar to gold. And that's going to be, the basis of international trade. It's going to be the dollar pegged to gold, And so it all works through the IMF and the World Bank and all that, they call them special drawing rights through there,
But don't you think that all
pretty complex,
But don't you think most of that pulls through Europe? Like we're not in the middle. We're not a WEF. I mean, we have fallen under WEF policies. We've done stupid things based on what globalists are telling us we should do. Most of our climate policy is that. Most of the reason we've gone away from the energy that's right below us and buying it from other places because we were told this is the best way to go. We can argue if that's right or wrong, but that decision was made by people that aren't in America. Like we're just following in what we're told to do, what we're told to believe. And again, I'll just come back to, if the strategy is to make us truly independent and not be tied to the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz is like a central pivot point that is a chokehold for many of the countries around the globe. I mean, China relies on them. Russia, not so much. Russia's kind of like an independent thing. They can do their own thing tomorrow. But like most of the Middle East, everything, they rely on exporting oil to drive their economy and to pay the mullahs, to pay all these different factions. And I don't want any of those people to suffer. I don't want the normal, common people to suffer. But like, why do we have to be in the middle of everything where we should really just focus on protecting ourselves first as best we can, and then try to get along with other people? I feel like we're talking about Bitcoin, and Bitcoin is trying to solve a money issue that really is an American issue.
Yeah. Well, and I think what you're getting at is, I mean, a centralized system, no matter what its form, whether it be communism or whatever, it's going to attract and grow on its own. It's going to continue to grow and build and bureaucratize itself and continue to grow because that's how it's designed. So that's why we're in the middle of everything, because, and this is something like Milton Friedman got into. It's like when he, described a pencil, he's like, the rubber comes from here. And it's like, well, now we have a vested interest in rubber trees in South America. So now we have to, now that's a way to justify to have a military presence there. So it's like, okay, well, we got to make sure we have erasers for our for our pencils. But I mean, it's the system isn't broken. It's working exactly how it should.
Well, I don't know if we're barking up the same tree. Like, for me, I feel like if we wouldn't have lost our ability to build things in factories, especially with an AI revolution, I feel like if we have abundant energy and we're not reliant upon anyone, we can make decisions and go places really, really fast.
100%.
And we can solve problems really fast without worrying about how this might offend England or Russia or China or whatever. And I understand the cheap, frilly things that we buy and put in our homes, we might have fewer of those things. But the necessary things that we can grow in our backyard and we rely on to survive, we can absolutely be in 100% control of that at any given moment. We shouldn't rely on anybody for any of that. Yep. But we made this, like going back to his accord that he talked about, is an agreement to outsource things. And it goes right back to globalization that went right through Clinton and said, we don't really want these jobs anymore because these jobs are laborers jobs, and we want to make it cheaper and let Chinese people who don't make as much money do the things that we don't want to do. And at a certain point, I can understand that. Like, do we really want to have people creating the things that you don't really need but you want?
Right.
Whereas we want them helping us with creating pharmaceuticals that are absolutely essential to life, or creating the chips that we outsourced our chips. Like, we used to make all of our chips in California, and the climate people forced us to offshore those because they wouldn't do them in California anymore. So that was a policy decision. And now we've circled back around to technology. Like, everything that we have is reliant on Taiwan, even though we made that decision back then. Mm-hmm. Again, I'm not trying to like have a podcast question for you. I am really trying to solve a problem in my head. Mm-hmm. That what do we as Americans need to be looking at and saying, well, this is just a shit policy, and we need to really like make America great again. It's not popular because Trump said it.
Yep.
Like, but we all want. I want your farm to be as big as it needs to be to make you happy and healthy, and the people around you getting good food and you supplying with the thing, and they need to be able to afford that thing. Right. Like, what? So where's the balance there? And if we're paying other countries, I don't know. This Bitcoin thing to me is central. I focus on it very regularly, and I don't know even the question. I want a very specific question to be answered that I don't even know what the question is.
Right.
But I think Bitcoin is a part of the solution.
Yeah.
Like, we just haven't figured out what that is. I don't think. The dollar's not it, the way it's sitting.
Yeah. Well, do we want to get into the 5 points?
The 5 points, we should definitely dig into those. We will not dig out of the rabbit hole that I just dug anytime soon. So
nope.
We can jump right out of it.
Yeah, give me something to think about.
Yeah. Well, I mean, that's so ultimately I did like this. I'm going to put a stake in it, and we'll go right to the.
So the question is, what is the question?
We'll ponder that. Yeah.
What is the question that you should ask
What question?
That's it. That's it. What is the question for you?
That's the best. Like, we will all be the most successful people that we can be on the planet if we learn to ask the best questions.
Correct. We just have to figure out what it is.
Well, so I understand the problem,
right?
And I see all the parts that are doing this.
Yep.
But the question is, who's to blame?
That's why I carry this thing around. Because I take all that stuff and I just scribble it down. I was like, I'll get back to that later.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think, again, we're trying to resonate Bitcoin and solve problems at a local level. Mm-hmm. And most people don't understand what the problem is.
Correct.
So we're bringing in a pencil to try to solve a problem. People can't see the written explanation of what the real
invisible ink to be like, hey, check out this question. It's like, I don't even know what you're talking about.
And it needs to be so simple that you can say it easy and like, this is what's happened.
Yep.
And here's where we need to go.
Yeah.
Here's why.
I think Breedlove had a good initial hit on that.
Sorry for the rant, everyone.
For the with the what is money.
Yeah.
And that's a good foundation to start at, but I don't necessarily know that really dovetails with how everybody operates on a day-to-day basis.
Definitely does.
So, and especially with, when you're in the rat race, you've got a million other problems and you don't have time to sit down and think about broader scope problems like this.
Right.
So
when you're trying to pay your Centerpoint bill.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So the five things that Bitcoin can do for your business.
And I'm curious, as we have a Bitcoin acceptor
thank you, Jesse.
Yeah, to see. Yeah, thanks for doing that and being a promoter of that. Mm-hmm. But yeah, and I'd be curious to see what your responses to these things are. Okay. So the first one is it significantly lowers your transaction fees. So if you're using a Visa, MasterCard, whatever, you're paying, 2.5% to 4%.
Right. Stripe it's crazy.
Yep. Yeah. So you can get that down to, typically it's 1% or under. So I mean, right there, especially with businesses with high transaction volumes. So restaurants, bars, barbershops, selling honey. Mm-hmm. I mean, those things, if you're going to save 60+%, I mean, yeah, it may not seem like a lot, but if you're making 100 transactions a day, that's going to add up really quick. And that's just money on the street.
It's easy as Cash App,
Yep.
There's nothing really complex about using it as a medium of exchange. Plenty of apps out there. I like the Moon Wallet. That's what I use.
Yep. Number 2, it has a faster settlement time as composed to the ACH, the Automated Clearinghouse, which is what the U.S. banking system is based off of.
Right.
So instead of 5 to 7 days, even if you were to go and do a transaction on chain, which means you're at layer 0. Once again, if you want to get way into the nitty gritty, first podcast I did, we got way in the weeds on that. But worst case scenario, like something like a real estate transaction that you wouldn't want to necessarily, you would want to make sure that it is on the blockchain. You're looking at 10 to 60 minutes. Or if you use something like the Lightning Network,
right,
you're looking at instantaneous. Mm-hmm. So, and it's a bearer asset. So
instant and globally, that's what we were talking about. It's like the Starlink of money,
Yeah.
Like it transcends boundaries.
Yeah. So someone in Australia finds your website and wants to buy some of your honey. Mm-hmm. And it's like, and he sends you Bitcoin. It's like, that's it. Mm-hmm. He doesn't have to convert it to USD or anything like that. It's like, right. No, I'll just totally accept Bitcoin.
Right. There's no we're going to wire this and it's going to cost this much in wire fees.
Yeah. $50 in wire fees. And then everybody gets their cut along the way of all the little jumps and everything. It just goes right to you.
It's totally peer-to-peer, It's a transaction. It's the only thing that we have, that we can actually exchange, a unit of value globally really quick. Yep. That's never going away.
Yep. And it's final and irreversible. So once it's done, it's done.
Mm-hmm.
So it's basically you've handed someone cash, like that's it. It's written on the blockchain and it exists. Everybody can see it. I can see it. The dude in Australia can see it, and
Right.
the whole world can see it because of the public ledger.
Right.
So what? Just real quick, what's the method of paying? How does someone pay you in Bitcoin right now? Is it through what apps or methods?
You don't really need a particular app. All you just need is my private key. You know,
Public key.
Yeah, the address.
Yep.
Yeah, the yeah,
Your wallet address.
Yeah.
exactly.
So if I want to buy something from you right now,
But
and
it would be
you
most
need to
simple.
own Bitcoin.
Yeah, it'd be most simple to just hold your phone up and scan the QR code just like you would like a Cash App, you know?
Yeah.
Okay.
And for people who don't understand how a lot of this stuff works, so like person to person, if Jesse's at a farmer's market and he's selling honey and steaks, which sounds awesome.
Steaks and honey, baby.
Yeah.
So he's like, hey, these ribeyes and this honey is going to be $60. Here's a QR code. So he would type up $60. It would create a temporary Lightning invoice on his end. You would scan it with your phone. You would pay him. The money would directly be sent to him. There's no intermediaries holding that. There's no one saying you can or cannot buy steaks and honey.
Right.
It goes right
But
to
this
him.
is through the Lightning system, though.
Yes, that's through Lightning
Yeah.
system.
Yep.
If you were to go on chain with it, it would take a while, but that doesn't really work for something that needs to be settled instantly.
Right.
But that's also so if it's something that's not time sensitive, then it's like, hey, I can send you X amount of dollars over this time period and still have the same thing. And all a Bitcoin wallet is, it's essentially like an email address. Mm-hmm. So it's like, it's something that and it's a place that computer system will recognize to know that this is where it's going.
I'm going to send you a message,
Correct.
and that message is money.
Yes. Yeah.
There's a difference between hot wallets and cold wallets too. So hot wallets are, apps on your phone, it's all stored, on the internet.
You got X amount of dollars in Cash App, and I can send you that right now.
Yeah. It's like a wallet you keep in your pocket.
Yeah.
Right.
But
It's like your checking account,
yeah, it's something, but you wouldn't keep like $100,000 on you, like in your pocket, in your wallet. That would be a terrible idea. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, it's like maybe a couple $100 if I want to go out and buy something.
Right.
You keep that in your hot wallet, and then your cold storage, that's basically your own vault, your bank storage. So yeah, you don't need a bank.
A safe in your in your basement, basically,
Yes.
that no one.
They're
can
not
go.
going to be able to get in there either, unless they've got your private key,
Right. Which is impossible.
or your 21 word seed phrase.
Yeah.
Which funny thing about seed phrases, I was doing some work at a rental house. They had just moved out, left the place trashed, and this is a couple years ago, but was walking through and I happened to pick up a sticky note that was on the floor, and I found a Post-it note with
21 words on it?
21 words. I was like, I know exactly what this is.
Did you try and get in?
Well, absolutely. I checked it, and they had just moved like 10 grand worth of Bitcoin off of that. So yeah, that just goes to show you, it's like,
Yeah.
you never know
10 grand worth of Bitcoin.
Yeah, I was like, man, that was several years ago. It's probably way more than that now.
Yeah.
In terms of value. So, but yeah, you never know who might. So that's just the importance of, yeah, it's cool to be.
I think there's a guy still digging through a dump somewhere.
Oh, yeah, for a couple $1 billion, I might be there with them. So, okay. Number 3, and we've beat on this. It's protection against inflation and currency devaluation. And that was
Because we talked about it, it's fixed supply.
that's it. Yep. So yeah, there's only going to be so much of it. And we did it specifically with the example of the cost of ground beef. So, and since it's a fixed supply, the cost of everything will continue to go down over time with technological improvements. And yeah, as things get cheaper, they should actually get cheaper. They shouldn't get more expensive due to inflation. But yeah, so what?
Well, but the price of beef itself will not go down too much, and that's not because, to me. So this is like a little glitch, but so Jesse's making a living, and he's got cattle, and he's raising them the right way. He's going to create a certain amount of poundage in a certain window of time, and that should have a certain value.
Right.
The problem with our ag is, I think, kind of the race to the bottom a little bit. So our ag and big ag had to produce more and more and more
For things to become
for
cheaper.
less and less and less.
Right.
So, like, to me, this is kind of that you have to protect somebody's willingness to go out and have a farm, turn the soil back into what it's supposed to be, and make the whole environment thrive.
Produce a good quality product.
And not race to the bottom.
Right.
Like it's because he doesn't have a technology.
Right.
In the new sense, he's got an old technology that is the way technology. That's where our foundation should be based. It's like the blockchain. Like the farm, the earth should look like a certain way, and it looks completely bastardized most of the time. So I mean, I don't know what I'm even getting at with the question, but it's like I don't want a farmer like him to like, here's what it takes to raise this animal the way it needs to be raised, and here's how much I need to make a living. How much can I make with 100 cows? I'm making the same equation. And so the question is, I have a 20-acre farm. It's a standard ag farm, and we got all the inputs with the chemicals and all this stuff, and it's giving the farmer X amount of dollars, and it's giving the landowner X amount of dollars. I want to, oh man, Murphy just dropped a big one on the whoa. So I want him to make a very good living wage, because he's giving back to the environment, and he deserves to earn.
He's producing value.
He's producing value. I guess that's where I want to figure that out.
The beef, like his products will be cheaper, but they will maintain the same value in a Bitcoin system versus a fiat system, which the value of Jesse's products is going to stay the same, but they're going to get more expensive in a fiat system.
More dollars chasing the same amount of goods and services.
Exactly. 100%.
I mean, I just think that's a standard question that people have to ask themselves. And like, why would I invest in this process? And I think that's a good answer, and we need to focus on that moving forward.
Yep. Number 4, access to a global bankless customer base. So what business doesn't want more customers? They should all want more customers. So, and we'd brushed on it earlier, specifically with Steak and Shake. And you look, I've watched their quarterly earnings and everything, and they're like, the only restaurants, like, we experienced 10% quarter over quarter growth, 10% quarter, like quarter after quarter. And it's because people with Bitcoin, they want to spend it, but they don't have anywhere to spend it. So, and I actually ran into, it was right when they announced that they were doing it last year at Bitcoin Vegas. So I was out there, saw their booth, went up, found a guy, talked to him. I was like, oh, hey man. I was like, I used to work at a Steak and Shake. It was my first job ever. And he's like, oh yeah, where are you from? I was like, a little place in, Southwest Indiana. He's like, oh yeah, whereabouts? I was like, oh, Evansville. He's like, I'm from Evansville. I was like, get out of here. He's like, oh yeah. So it turns out, yeah, he used to overrun before he got like up into corporate. He used to manage both Evansville Steak and Shakes here. So I was like, oh man, I was like, dude, I may have seen you like one day, like as a 15-year-old stupid kid.
Steak and Shake was legit back when I was young, man. It was so good.
Yep.
Talk Hamasak.
Oh yeah.
You don't remember that sign? It said it's take Homasac, but it's like in a weird spelled. It's just, I remember being a kid and I was like, talk Hamasak. Then number 5.
I think there's anything else wrong for. Oh, with number 4, it specifically attracts tech savvy young demographic.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, if you want people in the know and you want to, I mean, they're younger generations are always going to be at the cutting edge of what's going on in the world. So it's gonna attract that demographic.
My cassette player on the cutting edge, man. Cutting edge.
And then number 5, enhanced security, transparency, and fraud prevention. So you're not going to get chargebacks. So if you're in high volume, it's like, there's going to be if you're using credit cards, debit cards, or whatever, you're going to get chargebacks and stuff like that. That doesn't exist in the Bitcoin world, because if you don't have the money, the transaction doesn't go through. Period. End of story.
So most people don't understand that at the micro. So like you have a credit card and you've got $1,000 limit, and you don't have the ability to pay that back right now. So the bank's hedging what you can actually pay back, and it'll cut you off, or whatever. And like Bitcoin, it's like real time coming out of something that you own. And that's the only way that you can buy it.
Correct.
So and the same with fraud protection, I would say.
Yep.
Like
You can't fraud math,
that's the reality. Like fraud is a huge negative industry to credit card companies.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the reason why they charge and they do all that, is because they are getting people that are taking your numbers and buying something in China. And then you're like, nope, I didn't do that.
Yeah, you've got 50 transactions.
They already sold the thing.
$3.27. You're like, I didn't.
The thing flew out the building, and so the credit card company had to eat that because you're not going to pay for it.
Yep.
So I mean, that's a real thing,
and
that doesn't happen.
Other businesses don't like to lose money, so they charge it back to your local business, which continually crushes them. So every time they get a chargeback.
Yep.
Another thing too is just self-custody. Self-custody is, I mean, you control your funds. I mean, you don't need permission from the bank. So if you want to buy steaks and honey, if you want to go spend $5,000 on something, and if you go to a bank, they're like, what are you using this money for? It's like, well, it's none of your business. So I understand why they ask it. It's to prevent fraud and things of that nature, but those things don't exist in the Bitcoin world.
Good luck coming up with my 21-word seed phrase, to the state, whenever they're trying to confiscate. And this is real problems for other people in other countries, It's not, you don't hear of it yet here, But you actually have private property. How are they going to be able to get into your funds, whenever it takes a 21-word seed phrase, or they have to know your private key?
So it's not really pushback. It's more of just I talk to all walks of life, and a concern kind of with Bitcoin stems from the opposite side of the coin of what you literally were just talking about, in that it's used a lot in nefarious situations as well.
Yeah,
that can
no longer be tracked and can no longer.
What's that?
Thank goodness cash has never been used in nefarious situations.
Well, and we've kept track of cash a little bit. Any deposits over $10,000 and all that kind of stuff to cause I can't remember what those forms are called. But like,
I think that's just a lot of propaganda, from the U.S. dollar denominated interests. Like the people that are really hedge fund people,
the banks,
bankers.
Yep,
people that move money.
So
around
which part of that? Because what I was coming back with is a lot of times you can get, you can get warrants, you can get things to look at someone's banking transactions, shell companies' banking transactions, to kind of try to see where money's going, where money's moving, and there could be some times where law enforcement can get a breadcrumb because somebody screwed up somewhere along the way to be able to find an arms dealer or a trafficker, or whatever it might be, whereas Bitcoin will not really allow that now. For anybody that kind of looks at it this goes back, I'm going to really go out in left field for this conversation, but a lot of people talk about flock cameras and how those are such problems and everything, but they also can help find somebody who just shot and killed somebody at a movie theater and went and just drove across town, because that just happened here. Or can find a vehicle that abducted a child or whatever it might be. So there are definitely pros. Yep. I also get the cons. Same in
Oh,
this.
This is like the only friction that he and I have right now. But anyway.
Yeah, we have some big friction on this.
On flock cameras?
Quite a
Oh
bit.
yeah, I'm anti-flock camera.
See, and I'm not anti-flock as long as, I mean, there are some things that I would like to see happen with them as far as like local, like holding local data versus the data being abroad and that kind of thing. If we could, if we can make some tweaks, I'd be very pro. But still, somebody was shot and killed across town. That car was found. And so the driver and the two shooters were found due to the fact that we had flock cameras in place. Just the most recent event that I can think of, you know. So, I mean, there are definitely ways that it can be used in a good way, just as anything else. A gun can be used in a good way, can be used in a bad way. Like, I get that. I went off on a really far tangent, but where I was going with that was the fact that Bitcoin really can't be tracked, which can be a good thing to a lot of people. Like you said, I want to buy beef and honey with it. It's none of your business what I want to do with it. Great. I want to buy 3 children under the age of 10 for that. You know, and so like the pushback there a little bit is, you know, what, there's really nothing we can do about it. I guess I'm more making a statement than having a question.
You can take a big pile of cash and do the same thing. You know.
You can, but you have to have that big pile of cash, and there's usually some type of line drawn somewhere. Somebody pulled that cash out of somewhere, unless it was just sitting in their crawl space getting eaten by the rats in Miami.
I think that's kind of a weak argument generally, just because again, I have to show up someplace to buy. I don't want to say the words that you said because it sounds really terrifying to me. But
it's evil.
Like I can take this big chunk of money and meet you somewhere, and you can hand that thing off to me. The only thing that you don't get is the track back necessarily with Bitcoin, but you still have to have the transaction. You still have to meet somewhere and get the thing. You still know
apparently, as long as if you have the wallet number, there actually are apparently ways where you can kind of track some of the transactions. I mean, there are some. It's still very
know that there's
infant
people like
and
watching that. You know?
Yeah, there's definitely.
It's still a very infant system right now, but that you can as long as you have the wallet number. But then if they switch wallets and there's no transactions in the new wallet, then you're kind of screwed at that point. But if you're able to get a wallet number that does have transactions in it, you can kind of see some of that on the chain, as we've talked about a little bit. So, I mean, you can kind of track a little bit, but not near as well as you could like a wire or, you know, bank systems and things. And once again, I'm not pro either. Like, I'm just throwing out hurdles that I've heard people talk about. And this is a big one that they've talked about where it's not quite as on my radar, but where, especially kind of originally, like when it kind of first sort of hit it was being used a lot for illegal activities more so than
Silk Road and all that stuff. For sure. But I mean, that inevitably there's going to be a certain percentage of the population that always uses any technology for nefarious purposes. So
agreed.
Well, and Bitcoin is very decentralized and private and sovereign, and Flock is like the opposite of that.
Yes,
because Flock is very centralized, very anti-sovereign, and very like centralized. It all goes through one, which means it can be hacked and looked at and used in nefarious ways. Go to China and see it used in a bigger scale. And I don't want to use the China as just a scare tactic. I agree with a lot of the things that you said, that it can be used to do really, really good things. And in the moment, you use the term yourself and your own, like our own children. We can see it happening. We can track exactly where they are. We can go find them and demolish those people and get our kids back.
I don't think anybody knows the background of that. So,
no, but I mean,
I didn't say that. No. But I didn't say that on this podcast. But one of my pushbacks to Chad was, if my daughter gets abducted from my front yard and Flock can find that car and I can get my daughter back without any type of really, that was kind of, and that was our insight.
And we agree. So. I mean, we agree at that level, at that base level of, you took something that can't be replaced, that is precious to me and to everyone that knows this thing, and you need to be tracked down right now. I mean, this is a big rabbit hole.
Yeah, we went down a way that I wasn't. I just meant I was just trying to equate it a little bit.
And I even think with technological advancements like that, I think it can absolutely be a boon to law enforcement to help. And I come from a law enforcement family. And I've had this conversation with my dad.
I come from a family that runs from law enforcement, so that's good.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding. That was kind of a joke there.
But, you know, it can absolutely be used as a really great tool for law enforcement. But at the same time, how quickly could it be abused by a government who doesn't have its citizenry's best interest in mind, like that. So
This is where you and I align.
Yep.
And I don't know how that. Let's get back to the Bitcoin and.
Yep.
As we say, because I can have a whole conversation. I've got pushback and all kinds of stuff for this, but we can stay with Bitcoin.
No, yeah, we just need to have another podcast that talks about that fully.
and I've got a bonus point.
Here we go.
With Bitcoin, you no longer have to scale your business if you don't want to. So if Jesse reaches a certain head of cattle to where it's like, hey, I got 100 head of cattle, I got 10 sheep, got a bunch of chickens and 20 hives. And it's like, I'm comfortable here. I can handle this. I don't have to hire anybody else. Handle this on my own. Previously, what you would need to do is just to specifically fight inflation is you would have to continually grow your business, scale it more, or find other, place to exceed the hurdle rate of the US dollar. You couldn't have a savings.
Mm-hmm.
But with that, you can create a savings, be like, no, I'll just throw that money in savings and be able to hand that off, and I can have a good producing farm that's big enough for me and my family and what I want to do, and I can leave some to the kids, and so you don't need to scale anymore because your profits are protected, and it creates a actual capitalist system to where you have a rainy day fund that's not getting wrecked by inflation.
I think we can scale. Your beautiful point. That's fantastic.
Mm-hmm.
I think we can scale at a micro level. Like we scaled smaller farms to bigger farms to bigger and bigger farms to massive farms that turned into several thousand acres. And there's no way that a 3,000 acre farmer can do regenerative crop without massive outside investment and complete change of everything. I mean, it would have to change, like all the investment structure would have to change of how money goes into farms. Whereas you starting from the bootstrap level is, I can take this 1 cow, 2 cow, 5 cow, 15.
That's the beauty of cows, and a lot of livestock is, you get 100 eggs every year. They're reproducing,
Yeah.
What other asset does that,
Well, I think that
sheep actually have 2 a year,
Yeah. That add-on point was perfect.
It was.
It's a perfect tee up for what Jesse's doing.
So I'm gonna be the pushback guy.
Yes.
Just a little bit.
You got 3 guys that are arguing with. By the way, we need to switch this. We need to have it. You need to be on the left, so I'm looking at you when I go this way. This is just a real time that we're making the change. I'm looking at you and I'm looking the other way
right now, but I can't. So
real time.
So you're talking about just the fight of inflation with being able to do this, right? So you're wanting to fight inflation. So inflation is, what is average inflation? Like 8%?
Yeah,
something like that?
something like
7.5%, 8%,
I
something
thought
like
it's supposed to be 2.
Yeah. CPI says 2, Travis.
Okay, so
what is?
Yeah,
so the reality
tells us it's 2.
the reality we're living in.
The math they're just telling you versus what you actually.
Let's say 7%.
They go off the core now, the Federal Reserve, and that doesn't include.
And they took steaks out, and then they put ground beef in.
They don't
birds.
count. Yeah, they don't count food and energy because they're going off the core price index rather than the.
I don't even know what that means anymore.
The consumer price index.
Yeah, they still call it CPI.
So what was the question?
Let's call it 10, and I think it's being generous towards the government.
I was going to say 7 just to say, because if you get at least
we'll go conservative.
If you at least get a 10% return, you're usually going to be able to fight inflation out. If you get 10%,
you can walk on the treadmill.
Let's do the math. Okay, ounce of gold, $20.67 an ounce, 1933. Now it's 5,000s. This is less than 100 years.
Yeah, we do this with food last podcast, and it turned out food was 300% over 20 years.
So come back to the question.
Okay.
Sorry, Travis.
The percentages and the math are all going like.
Let's call it 8%. I think it's
okay. 8%. Honestly, the percentage doesn't really matter for what I'm going to talk about, but ultimately. Somebody's trying to fight inflation of 8%.
So that is your hurdle rate. That is what you're trying to, and a hurdle rate is You have
break even, pretty much your break even point.
Yeah. So it's just like, okay, I've got $10 and I want to make sure it maintains $10. So I have to invest it at a certain level, which is your hurdle rate, to make sure it maintains its $10 value.
Or that's what we're saying. 8% might be our hurdle rate. So if you can get a 10% return, 11% return, that's what.
So
I've got a couple of mutual funds that kind of average about 11 and a half. So that's kind of where a lot of my money is right now.
Yep.
And the reason why that money's there, because I have some Bitcoin, I've got a node, I've got some miners, I get all of the side of that.
Yes.
But let's say your hurdle rate is 8%.
Okay.
I just bought Bitcoin at 140 and now it's worth 75.
Oh yeah.
My hurdle rate's almost 50%.
Yep.
I guess I'm going all the way back to what I talked about half an hour ago, which is how can you really talk, like if you just talk real numbers and you talk to somebody about it and the concern of everybody having to buy in, because if anybody sells a large chunk, it really brings down your value in that dollar, in that Bitcoin, you know, like there's really no safety net there in any way, shape, or form necessarily.
It does involve responsibility. Yes.
So, but whose responsibility?
Yourself.
Individual.
Because if I keep buying it, but it keeps going down in value, my responsibility hasn't been flawed. Like I've been a responsible Bitcoin buyer and holder, but my buy that I bought at 140 is now worth 75, or my buy at 100 is now worth 60, or whatever it might go to.
Right.
I am not really gaining an inflationary return. I'm losing money over time.
But you're trusting that the bottom is not going to. You're trusting that the bottom is not going to drop out of the thing that you keep trusting.
Right. Okay,
I mean,
who are you trusting? Who are we trusting?
That's a vacuum. Well, you trust a decentralized.
We're trusting the buyers of Bitcoin.
The group of people that agree that the system isn't doing what it says it's doing and promising. And delivering on the things that it is. So you have
I want that system to work.
And you have to educate yourself to understand that you can't just keep thinking that the dollar's not going to be a banana republic situation. And all the big markets even are saying, like, there's going to be a collapse of some sort. You know it's coming. It's come every time. And it steals value, it steals money, it steals property. It does this thing because it has to reset. Like, so
inherent to a debt-based system.
I mean, so like what you're saying is valid. What you're saying is what 95% of the people on the planet want to have to trust in the card and the money and the bank, because that's what we have and that's what's in our hand. And that's we've never had it.
Faith and credit of the United States government.
But you talk to my 80-year-old dad.
Tell me the truth.
You talk to my 80-year-old dad whose parents had property stolen from them from the government because they owned hundreds of acres. They owed tax money on it. They kept it in the bank. The banks basically collapsed, took all the money out, and they couldn't pay the taxes, so they had to sell the land. So you're trusting the fact that they're going to hold on to the value of that money so you can pay your taxes out of your account. And yes, we have US, whatever FDIC. The FDIC, and that protects you at some level.
$250,000.
But it doesn't protect you at the larger level.
Yeah,
it is
another bailout.
Well, it's just like you're trusting something that has proven to be untrustworthy.
That's the ultimate question, and I think where do you put your trust?
Well, so and I think, and the reason why I pose this is because this is the hurdle you need to jump to get people to buy in.
It's a great question.
So how do we get people to buy in? I guess is where I'm at. Is really the low hanging fruit of that question.
What's education? You have to understand, like what I just said, not so eloquently, is the system has taken and stolen over time, sometimes more dramatically, sometimes just over time through inflation, quietly, but it happens. It happens really rapidly, it happens really slowly, but we're not taught to even pay attention to that. You're supposed to blame taxes, you're supposed to blame the current president, you're supposed to blame the other Democrat side, or Republican or whatever.
That's all
horseshit. Yeah. I mean, it's all just horseshit.
Excuse me.
Bless you. Oh, so I don't know where we're ending, but we're pretty close.
Oh,
you said beef and honey. Do you all know the song "Sex and Candy"?
Yes.
I smell.
I know it.
You don't know that one?
No.
By Marcy's Playground.
I can't play it.
We can't play it because we would get stricken. Video, but
like I can hear. I'm going to make an AI song.
Beef and honey. I smell. Beef
Next time we're with you, I smell beef and honey. And it's going to be inspired by Marcy Playground. And I should have thought about that.
Who's that grilling?
I didn't hear beef and honey until we showed up here today. So that was really
I've got two last questions from. I told my buddies, it's like, hey, meeting with
That's
a
awesome.
local rancher, Bitcoin dude. I was like, if you guys have any questions, let me know. I'll ask them on the podcast. So I've got two here.
Murphy's involved.
The first
Oh, he
one
was.
is, why is beef so expensive?
Inflation.
That's
But
a lot.
outside of inflation, I think
Very deep.
we've hit that ad nauseum.
Ad nauseum.
We're just talking about a system. We've got 300,000 less producing mama cows in the United States alone.
So we just don't.
We're not producing enough. We don't even eat our own beef for the most part.
Because our government's made that, but
Yeah.
that's what we're doing.
Yeah.
So the incentives are not there for people to raise cattle
Right.
They give
because
more,
the margins are microscopic unless you go direct to
Unless you're
consumer.
direct consumer. That's the only way I see it's worth it.
yeah, all the money gets shipped to the big ag, that's where all the money goes,
Mm-hmm.
right? They're incentivizing the system as it works versus the system as it should work for you producing things and selling them to me that's healthy for me.
Right.
That's what it feels. I mean, that's what it feels like to me.
I think you're right.
And one bill can help big ag and a bunch of farmers, where one bill probably can't help Jesse trying to do the right thing for his local people that he wants to raise cattle for.
Mm-hmm.
But it's decentralized versus centralized. I mean, that's where we come back to that, I think.
Right.
To me.
Peer to peer, your meat, or most of your food, try and get it local, There's so much value in just eating the local stuff that's grown in your area too, 'Cause,
Especially honey. Honey's a big one for your local honey.
Exactly. Yeah.
I think all food really
Pollen
is.
and
All
stuff.
food really is, if people understood biology and physics.
And light, if it's the light is crystallizing everything, photosynthesis, and if you're eating your local light information, then it's a whole lot better situation than if it's grown halfway across the world,
We're tapping into quantum.
Bingo.
And the quantum, which might go, if we start trying to delve into that right now, people are going to our eyes will glaze over, maybe.
All right.
If they haven't already.
Second question. It's a bit long. What can small scale American ranchers do? Is that state by state only?
State
What
by
can
state
so
by
the
state.
question doesn't quite make sense.
What
What was the question?
What can small American ranchers do essentially to make it?
Okay.
What do they need? What's what infrastructure could they use?
And is that state by state? Is that on a national level?
or county level or ordinance? How are you restricted, and what would help you the most?
Murphy's coming in to help with this one.
And he
Murphy's helping.
Yeah.
and
what can they do? I would say,
Get out of the way.
Start building into your land. Start putting the fertilizers and the stuff.
he's almost-
Build your soil, because that's your largest savings account, even more than your animals, because your animals are more like your checking account.
gotcha.
And invest in good mama cows that are producing cows. We're talking about cows that actually have a calf every year. They're efficient. They go out there and get fat off of grass. It's kind of sounds. I don't know. It should be a thing. But it's you'd be surprised how many unproductive cows. Because we're making them too big. Whenever you
They're not healthy, so they can't reproduce as
the big packers prioritize growth, over everything, and then that always comes at an expense of efficiency. That cow won't get bred back the same.
Yeah.
Invest in your genetics. Got to have good genetics.
Yeah.
It's you're trying to give a human an input that's not natural to make them something they're not supposed to be, bigger, faster, whatever.
Right. Yeah.
But at the end of the day, it's not an optimized human. It's a hybrid that can't genetically pass that on to the next generation real fast.
Yeah, and
You
his
make them harder, better, faster, and stronger.
my buddy's example, he's down in Charlotte, North Carolina. He said the only small animal farms near us in North Carolina had to offload their pork supply and basically change into a tourist hayride show farm instead of being something that's actually able to produce.
So is he asking why that happened?
Yes.
Or he was just saying this is what happened?
Yeah, so it's just like why did they have to go down that route versus being able to continue to provide food for his region?
We don't have a picture of bureaucratic red tape right here and lobbyists, but it's like they're trying to control food distribution.
Well, yeah.
And they don't want us to have the best food. They want us to have the food that they
make money on.
Want to be in the middle of giving to us because they are smarter than us and they need to give us the food that they want us to have. Whereas he's producing the food that's going to make you stronger as his neighbor, and we need to figure out a way to make his life better, to produce the things that's going to. He can just give us half a cow every year for something that we do for him, and our family is healthier. Like that's where we are decent. We are centralized. We talk about decentralization a lot. Bitcoin, one of its key foundations to me is decentralization. You're getting away from the corruption as much as you can. Like our food system is really no different than Bitcoin. Like where he's perfect to me is the symmetry is Bitcoin tries to solve the problems with money. Regenerative farming, independent, small solo farming is trying to get away from the centralization problem that we have with food distribution. It's the same.
It is. It's totally the same. There's actually this guy named Tristan Scott that wrote this book, Bitcoin and Beef. And he's associated with, he's been involved with Texas Slim and all the beef initiative and stuff like that. So it's a great read. It gets into all that kind of stuff, like what you're talking.
Yep.
And if I may, not being part of your world by any means, but I think specifically that question that was asked, I think when you don't have as many mouths to feed, it's cheaper. So your overhead, I think, is less to be more of an experienced farm versus an actual farming farm from what your guy was talking about, or gal. But then also, I think lately there's been a big hit, and my wife is one of them. It's like we've gone to Wilston Farm to like go feed the ostriches and the bovine and not buffalo, the other one, bison. Because they make sure to let you know that these aren't buffalo, these are bison. There's a difference. And you know, and there's like some camels and zebra and all kinds of stuff. But I think it comes down more to a lot of people are looking for that experience because we're so far removed now, I think, from what used to be like every other family used to farm in some way, shape, or form.
You're getting educated in your backyard. You didn't have to be educated by four guys sitting in a podcast.
But so I think you've got people who no longer, who are so far removed from it, they have no idea what it's like, and they think that it'd be
experience,
a fun experience. Yeah, I'm going to pay you $50 to be able to see what a day,
which is education, which can turn into something beneficial if we're doing it for the right reason.
So I suppose it is. I mean, it's cheaper and less work.
Yeah, that's where I was talking. Overhead, I think, is less. And you still have to have the animals there to provide the experience. But I think when you're you could have 3 cattle instead of 100 cattle if all you're trying to do is give an experience, not, of what that would be like, versus having to actually feed all these heads and get them to the right size to be able to take them to market and that kind of thing. To answer that question, only because my wife drags me to places like that all the time. Not all the time, but a few times a year. And if I were to try to look at that in like kind of retrospect of what it might be, I think it's more, I don't farm. My wife doesn't farm. Her, neither one of our families farm. We have some distant relatives that might have a farm here or there, but really to be able to give our child the experience of what farm life might sort of be like. I mean, riding around on a trailer giving feed by hand to some goats is not really what farming is necessarily like. But I think giving that experience and maybe a little bit of education might be more where those people in North Carolina may have been able to find a fatter bottom line to go that route versus the actual farming route, possibly.
Let me throw something out here that I feel like we're going to end on this for me, like the question, because I like having the question answered, not today, but like posing the question that needs to be answered. We're talking about UBI, we're talking about technology, we're talking about jobs and things that might fall away that have always been here. What if there was a UBI structure to basically where we started as in Americans, we were mostly farmers. I don't know what percentage of people that came to America were farmers, but
Probably most.
most of them. If you weren't farming, participating on creating something that someone could eat,
You were dead.
you were dead. I mean, right? We started there.
much it.
We started there, and it's just like
Unless you did something to help with farming, like shoeing horses. Or
so it's just like when you're born and when you die. You come in, you rely on whatever, you die, you rely on whatever, and it's like I think we're kind of seeing that cycle happening again. And so I guess the question, just the thing that I want to leave on today is how can we take what's happening to us rapidly with everything, taking the small thing that our ancestors came here to do, and then turning it into something that can benefit people around us and most locally, and healing the environment and the things that are going on in the world around us. Like, I feel like that's kind of the pointed question that's going on. Anytime you just insert a dollar into that, and a government's saying, I'm going to dangle this dollar out in front of you and do what I say, or you're out of the system, you can't play anymore, to a decentralized, like Jesse can give you $1 because you agreed to do something to him, and you'll give that dollar right back for the thing you promised to him.
For him, not to him.
Yes, and you don't have to have an intermediary.
What are you doing to him?
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't have to have an intermediary telling you what you need to, like how you should do business amongst yourselves.
Right.
Right.
Like I feel like that's
Right.
the core of where technology is solving a lot of problems. We have to get anti-technology to solve a lot of the problems as well.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, human beings, unless you want to fuse with AI in the future through some weird thing, which I don't.
Some people will.
And they will. Good luck to them. I'm going to die in this body. Tell them, good Lord created me.
You could have outside devices to help, to be part of that.
I'm fine with tools.
If you have
I
a
use
quadruple
tools all the
bypass,
time.
I mean, you're not going to not have your heart
Yeah.
fixed.
Yeah, maybe I'll have like a pig heart like that one guy. So, yeah. Hey, dude, good for him. But
Unbelievable stuff.
I think my last question would be for Jesse is, if you were able to craft a piece of legislation that would most benefit people like yourself and what you're trying to do, what would be included in that? And it was going to get passed, and no lobbyist, perfect world, a fair system.
I'd say the processing is kind of a bottleneck right now. If we didn't have to have the USDA as kind of like always looking over our shoulder, we got to have them present in a plant, it's just, it's not needed,
Yeah.
That's coming between me and my mouth, I should be able to exchange a chuck steak with you, without
With Uncle Sam putting a stamp of approval on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So we can't just come over, take the cow down, eat a steak.
Well,
It's like killing a deer in our backyard. We can just take that deer and cook it over a fire.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how is the government put itself in between that process?
Well, so in that, I was just going to ask a question, just really as an uneducated person when it comes to this, but what's to say that I guess you can have nefarity, that's even a word in any industry, but like, what's to say that somebody doesn't butcher a cow that's got some type of disease or something that they're not disclosing? Like, I once again, just complete dumbness out of my, my side of the field. Like, is the USDA there to make sure that all the beef that goes through there is safe? Or are they just really, like, that's not even really, they don't test everything that comes through. Like, it's not really, that's not part of their agenda. Their agenda is to just get their little slice of your pie. Like, I guess that's where, like, if you cut them out completely and you did your own butchering and you sold it to me, what's to say that that's a healthy piece of meat to sell to me?
So what
I guess is what I'm asking.
What is the legislation that you need to be better, and why is the legislation that's already in place hampering what you're doing? Right? You're asking why. The FDA is there because they're saying they're helping us have better food, or
to make sure there's not some type of mad cow on the meat they're giving you,
and they're not poisoning us with all the other food they're giving us. I mean, like,
But the ththings that they're doing are promoting mad cow. Like
no, that's what I'm. Once again, this is just a dumb
cows. You know,
it's a good question. That
I understand what you're saying. Yeah, but yeah, I don't know exactly what the USDA is doing there. You know, and what they're monitoring for. But I think that the market, you know, will kind of account for that. You know. Reputation will get around. This guy's butchering these old half sick, you know, things that, you know.
We're not going to buy that dude.
Your reputation follows that, you know, and so I kind of believe in this invisible hand of the market, you know, to, you know, let capitalism do its thing, you know.
I'm all about capitalism, man.
Sure, yeah.
The Affordable Care Act just jacked the entire. That's a great thing to see what pulling a capitalism out will do. They just jack the whole system up. You no longer have market. What am I trying to say? Like the competitiveness, or you know, they're not competing with each other anymore. Now everybody just gets reamed with this massive insurance bill. Anyway,
so is the question is there legislation that he needs, or is there deregulation and removal of the hurdles that he needs to be bottleneck?
So you're saying USDA, get rid of the.
Yeah,
me,
it was essentially, you know,
he's got to dance in red tape.
So yeah, where is his biggest bottleneck in in his whole workflow process? So it's like if he was to design legislation that would pass with flying colors and everything, what would it be? And I mean, that was the first thing that
I want to hear his answer, and I have what I think.
We were saying,
well,
get rid of the USDA.
The main thing is, just deregulate the processing end of it, you know. But people should be able to butcher their chickens and their stuff in their backyard, you know, without the USDA saying there to say that's clean or not.
So
was that a short? Okay, so let me just
that was a short end.
We give welfare to standard crop production.
Mm-hmm.
We don't give welfare to him.
Nope.
Right.
That's your answer. We're propping up a system that creates more of something that's. It has benefit at some level and some scale, but we also have programs that pay people not to farm. So instead of paying people not to farm, they should just take that. They should not be incentivized because that farm is no longer producing what it needs to produce because the soil's eroded and it's falling into the creek or whatever it is it's doing. And you need to give the money to the person that's trying to create healthy food, or the incentives for him to create the thing, not the money. He doesn't even need money. He needs you to get out of the way.
Yep. Yeah, and sometimes the incentive is like, oh, hey, this used to be a big pain in the ass process to have cows and get them butchered and stuff like that. Where it's like, you know, now it's not so bad anymore. It's like, oh no, they just kind of watch for X, Y, and Z. You know, that's what they're looking for.
My dad has a 20-acre farm.
Yeah. So
how can we make that profitable without putting a GMO subsidized, insurance-ridden?
Because that's what the government's willing to sign off on.
Because that's what we're paying for.
Yep.
That's where our money goes.
Yeah.
We're printing it, putting it into a system that they know they're going to make profits at the seed companies, at the chemical companies, at all these different things, and it doesn't trail back to him at all. Like he's completely cut out of that situation.
Yep.
That's my take on it. I don't know what the question is, except
there's no interest in them, you know, having independent farms that produce good quality food.
They're not incentivized by us being healthy or buying food that's healthy for us or providing something back to you that is going to provide health to us.
Not when you can have like a Netflix subscription to the pharmaceutical industrial complex.
This got really negative, but I mean, it's really a pinpoint. It's really a pinpoint as to actually where the system, who it gives money to, and who it creates hurdles for.
Who has incentives and who doesn't?
Who has the best lobbyists?
Well, and they have lobbyists because they have money that's printed out of nowhere and put into things that create things that aren't good for people.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean,
that gets into the Cantillon effect. And so, the lobbyists and everybody who are closest to DC and the lawmakers are going to be the first people to get the funds. And then by the time those funds work through the entire financial system, by the time it gets to us, you know, through what was that stupid thing called? Stimulus check. So yeah, so that's a $1,400 stimulus check. But in the meantime, all consumer goods have went up 50%. So it's like, well, too bad you missed the boat.
100%. I want to wrap up this conversation. I want to give each of you an opportunity, but like what I will say is I think what this Bitcoin conversation does is it points out a very broken system. Bitcoin, to me, I've used in my toolkit that I think can help break down and fight at the level that we can fight as individuals who can take sovereignty in our own money and do something with it that we want to do outside of the system. And I think we have actually pinpointed a lot of talking points and questions that I haven't heard out there. And I'm not saying they're all refined questions but like we're pinpointing things to me that need to be addressed. And those has to be addressed locally. You're trying to solve the problem without a lot of help. He's out there on his own, accepting Bitcoin and trying to create the best product he can create. Bees, beef. I'm going to create a song for that. But it's like, at the end of the day, he's not going to receive the help from the system that's incentivized to not help him. And so that's what this conversation is about. We need to unite with people that want to solve the problems that we can solve locally together and eliminate the bureaucracy where we can. And Bitcoin is a removal of bureaucracy. It's a removal of someone intermediated, getting in between you and me, giving you money for something you do, vice versa. And I hope this talk, and again, I want each of you to talk as much as you want. I just want to say I hope talks like this help people understand that we're trying to fight at a level that we don't even know is actually the fight that's happening. Like we have to address these problems in a way that we haven't addressed them in the past, because they just keep happening and we just keep taking the bullets and we're not really moving and we're not advancing really anywhere until we answer these questions. So whoever wants
I'd
to
say like the next 401k to me is relationships rooted in trust, that with people that know how to grow things, repair things, and build things. Okay, so and then Bitcoin becomes a great peer-to-peer tool, that I can access my neighbor, and if you're doing your food, like I used the example of maple syrup earlier to honey, in the sense of food, you don't need the Bitcoin in that sense. If you're just trading your food, we want it for all these other reasons, but the food's pretty important, and we want clean food.
Amen.
Yep. I think at the end of the day, no one is going to save you but yourself. So even if you start and you're making, it's like compound interest. You got to make good decisions every day. You have to continually educate yourself because no one's going to do it for you. Even if it's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. If you're not doing it at all, that's a huge increase of what you're doing. And even through education, if you can't do that, then it's like, okay, well, I've got to eat better food. Then you need to realize that the best food that you can buy is coming from someone local who knows what's going on, who can tell you everything about the cows, who can show you the cow that you're probably going to eat and be like, hey,
that's the proof of work we're talking about.
That's it, dude. Proof of work, man. But yeah, and understand, love your neighbor, and yeah, acquire skills, be useful to society. And yeah, I don't know, just.
I think what you're saying is exactly right. And the only thing I'll add the layer to it is people with kids have to take what you just said and dial it down to the kid level and say, these are why these things are important in your life. Like Jesse's younger than, you guys are probably about the same age. You might be a little younger, but like we have to instill in our kids why you need to think about these things and why it's important, not to you now, but you need to think about education as here's why these things are important. And I just think our education system in and of itself doesn't do that. It's at
what to think versus how to think.
Yep. It's exactly right. And where is he incentivized to go home and talk to his daughter about these things? And how has that become easy? What does that conversation look like? Like it's painful. It's like we haven't been trained on how to pass that information along because he's focused on making enough money to make his family thrive, and he's not thinking about the daily things that she needs to be thinking about or my boys need to be thinking about. So that's what I got. Travis, what's your final take on it?
Yeah, no, I agree with everything that you've said. I sound like I'm just a pain in everybody's keister, but I'm kind of
You're the everyman.
I was the one man out kind of on this, but only to try to get people who watch who may share that viewpoint.
Yeah, for sure.
That's valuable.
To see how they can overcome that thought process, the hurdle in their mind to, well, maybe I should buy into Bitcoin even though it's a little more volatile, or maybe whatever it might be. So.
I think you're the status quo, the argument for status quo. Why should I go out and risk and do this whenever this thing is proven and Bitcoin has all this stuff? Like you're always coming in and saying, here's why everyone else doesn't necessarily agree with these 4 people in a room. Like, you know what I mean? And I think that's valuable because we're learning that
it is, yeah.
with the hurdle rate. I mean, you're basically trying to get over that. What do we do today, and why is that wrong?
And you'd be surprised how many people don't even understand the hurdle rate. They think if they're getting a 3% return, I'm making 3% of my money back. No, you're not.
Yeah, well, that's my dad's life and everything he puts in the bank because they give you a CD.
I'll take these CD.
Yeah, you're welcome.
CD for 2.25%.
I'll give you all that money. Good job, man.
That's you're losing money at that point. I mean, you're making more money than just sitting in nothing, but you're losing money due to inflation at that point. But no, I think it's been a great talk, guys. I mean, I always love it.
I would love to go for.
We're at very big risk of with the fractional reserve. We've had bank runs before. There's nothing backing that. It's bank credit. It's not just bills in a vault.
Yeah.
I don't think the gold is where everybody thinks the gold is right now. I don't. I would love for somebody to just live feed a camera into Knox and see open the vault and see what's in there.
Yeah, I think it's a different play.
Moths fly.
That's where I come back to Promethean argument where I hedge on just kind of listening to the chess models of what a government that pretends to care for us, whether Trump ends up a good character in history or a bad character in history. We could debate that for another 4-hour podcast. But I feel like that's like he could, and the administration could move the needle to make this conversation a different conversation in a good way. But we don't know that. And we're just trusting something that we don't believe in or trust necessarily.
Yep. The last point I was just trying to make was we all do this finger pointing at the Federal Reserve and they're for monetary debasement. But it's happening in the commercial sector too. Why are you continuing to put money in a checking account? Because that's fueling the problem. There's nothing backing it up.
That was a good comeback to Bitcoin there, Jesse. I love that.
And
it's very true.
And I think at the end of the day, despite we've been all over the map, and I think we've hit on a lot of negative stuff.
A lot of really good short clips that can bring a lot of good questions together, but a little all over.
At the end of the day, I don't think these conversations would have been happening 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, absolutely not.
So even in that regard, it's a really good thing that these conversations are taking place, and that's progress. So while there's a bunch of shit that's still going on and we still have problems, the fact that we're discussing them now it's a way to do it. But now it's time. Talk is cheap. You got to put your proof of work out there. You got to go out, build that furniture. You got to raise those cows. You got to do what you got to do.
Do more podcasts.
Yep. Do more podcasts.
Get healthy.
Get healthy is very good.
Yeah. At the end of the day, conversations are happening. You just got to put things into action, and you'll see results after that.
Oh, you teed that up very well for me, Josh. I appreciate that. So, like, what our job here to me in this podcast, and thanks always to Travis for his dedicated give back and dedication to just continuing the conversation and promoting people like you guys and hopefully other people that agreed to come onto the podcast or other podcasts locally more than just waiting for someone to solve the problems in a bigger podcast around the world. Like, we have local problems that we need to solve. We need to all get involved in this conversation locally because that's where we're actually going to solve it. Waiting for the big hand to give us the things that we might get is not going to solve the problem. Making more bees happy and making more cattle happy and then giving those to your neighbors that's solving problems. You giving the products and services that you give solves a problem, builds value. I mean, we both try to do that on the other, like more on the technology side. But to me, as technology increases, one-to-one conversations, face-to-face with real people is going to become more and more valuable. I think this is a thing that AI is going to itself try to take away, not because it knows that it's taking away, but because it'll be easier to like build me a podcast with an AI character that looks like me, sounds like me, believes like me, that's going to just create content and thinks like I've always thought and says the things that I've always like. That's kind of where we're heading.
Yeah.
So we have to fight that.
See,
like his little,
I'm real. I've got like fingers.
Yeah. Travis's little pushbacks. Travis's little like, this is what I feel out here and whatever. Like those are the things that we as humans have to continue fighting for, and truth seeking and playing and working together and building communities together.
Travis, that's also like literally how you sound too.
How's that? Oh, with what yeah.
Yeah. Those are the fingers.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for agreeing to this.
Yep.
Maybe the next one we'll do out on Jesse's farm in Kentucky. Jesse's gonna
steak taste test, baby.
That's right.
So go to Jesse's website.
I'll bring my own GMOs.
Jesse's website will explain all about his honey and his beef. I don't think he has really a lot of problems selling his beef. I think you get rid of that really easily. We didn't really get into the importance of your bee business and whatever, because that's very product specific. I would love for you to come back into the podcast and to sit down for like 30 minutes and talk about just the product.
Sure.
Just what it is, where it comes from, what you do, and like get really specific in that.
Yeah.
And we deliver that out to the people. I'd do that for you tomorrow if you want to do it. Like we can do it for almost nothing.
Okay.
So that's my gift back to you. If you want to take that and use that to promote your bees or your beef, whatever you want. And I will have a song that sounds like what's the
Sex and Candy.
Sex and Candy. And you might not like that.
Yeah, you call it,
but it's going to be catchy, and AI is going to build it.
It's going to be called Jesse's Playground. Beef and bees.
Well, see, that's where I was saying Jesse's farm.
Jesse's farm has got it going on.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. So, yeah. He's got the beef and the bees that go. I don't know.
I had to write a note for that one. I'm sorry that this is taking a minute, but I love you guys. Thank you so much. Thanks to everyone that's watching. If you want to help promote more content like this, always reach out to me, Travis, or anybody. But like we're looking to build more content and have more conversations like this, solving problems. Appreciate it. Thanks,
Bye,
guys.
Murph.
Love you. Murph, thanks for dropping bait on me, buddy. I appreciate that.
Have a good night, everybody.
See you. Love you guys.
See y'all.